Okay, so thank you all for waiting and sorry for starting late today because as I told you all there was some network connectivity issues. Okay, so today we are going to uh, complete the balance part of the PGBP. We'll try that we can finish as much as we can today. Okay, so PGBP. Yesterday we were doing those disallowances if you remember. Okay. So in disallowances, we completed section 40. 40 clause A is done and 40 clause B, that is also done. Now today we are going to discuss about 40A. 40A. This is not 40, this is 40A. This is a different section. So yesterday we saw section 40. In that two clauses were there, clause A and clause B. Okay. And in clause A also we saw different sub clauses. Today we are going to start with 40A. This is a different section. In this 40A, we are supposed to do subsection 2, then subsection 3. Along with 3, we are going to do 3A also. Then we are going to do 40A7, then 40A9. Okay, very easy sections, very easy. Okay, and one or two things are those only which are the repetition of the things which we have done earlier. Okay. Then we are going to complete the 43B. 43B we all know, but some part of 43B is yet to be discussed with you. Okay. Yesterday I gave two questions to practice at home, to try at home. I hope you all have done those questions. Okay. So I will be explaining these sections, then we'll start with the questions, and that time I will be discussing those questions also with you. Okay. So coming to section 40A, the first subsection is subsection 2, 40A subsection 2. What this section says, that if you are an assessee and you have incurred some expenses for the purpose of your business or profession, any expense if you are incurring for your business or profession, for example, commission is expense is commission, it is interest, it is salary, it can be any type of expense which you have incurred for the purpose of your business or profession. Now for that expense, if you are making the payment to any specified person, so there has to be a specified person. To that specified person we are making the payment for the expense, business expense is made to this specified person, whom we call as related parties. What do we call them? Related parties. So this is a related party payment. Business expense is incurred, but the payment for that expense is made to a related party. Now, whatever payment is made to that related party, if that payment is in excess of reasonable amount or that payment is unreasonable, then whatever amount which is unreasonable, whatever amount which is in excess of reasonable amount, section 40A2 says that the same will be disallowed. That will not be considered as your business expense. So that payment which you are making, that payment which is unreasonable, that payment which is in excess of reasonable amount, that entire payment, no, that excess amount, then that unreasonable amount, we will disallow. Now, for example, in my business, I have employed my brother as an employee. So my brother is working in my company, in my business as an employee. So I wanted to keep an engineer on job. So instead of keeping an outsider in my organization as what? As an employee, I employed my brother only because he is also an engineer. Okay. So rather to give the salary to someone outsider, rather than employing someone else from outside, I employed my brother. What is bad in that? If I would have paid the salary to some other person, I would have got the deduction. So now I am paying salary to my brother. I should also get the deduction for this payment. But here, no, what happens, Here there are chances that I try to claim some excess amount as what? Deduction, which may not be my expense. For example, Kaushik is my brother, okay? And Kaushik is an engineer. I'm telling Kaushik that, see, Kaushik, if I take any engineer in my office to work, I'm going to pay him how much? 25,000 as salary per month. So you are also that same type of engineer. You will be also doing the same stuff for me, which other will be doing. So come, join my organization. I will be paying you 25,000 only. Minimum 25 I'll pay you. Okay. But don't worry. The monthly checks I'll make for 1 lakh rupees. 1 lakh rupees salary I'll give you. I will credit 1 lakh salary in your account. How much should be your salary? 25,000. No. Which anyways you would have got somewhere else. You are getting from me. Which anyways I would have paid to someone else. I'm paying to you. But do one thing, since you are my brother, no? I will credit 1 lakh rupees salary in your account. You just do one thing. Keep 10,000 rupees extra. Keep 10,000 rupees extra. So 25 plus 10, 35 you keep. But the balance amount of 65,000, no, you withdraw from your bank account and return that amount to me in cash. So now tell me, I gave a check of rupees 1 lakh. I credited salary of rupees 1 lakh in his account. I will claim the deduction for 1 lakh. But my expense actually is not 1 lakh. It is only 35,000. 25, which should be salary, which I have given, plus 10,000 extra I have given him. Now tell me one thing, if that 10,000 extra which I have given him, for that extra money, he's going to help me because he is my brother. I cannot do such thing if I employ some outsider in my organization as an employee. Can I do it? First of all, I'll not trust him only. That if I'll credit some money in his account, he's going to withdraw that balance 65,000 and give it back to me. But I can have that faith. Little bit of faith is still remaining, okay, on my brother. So my brother will withdraw 65,000 from his account and give it back to me. He will say, see Anna, take 65,000 back. Okay, you are a very generous person. Because I would have got 25,000 salary outside. You are giving me 25,000 salary plus 10,000 extra you are giving me. I can always play in this way with the government if I am making the payment to the related parties. Getting my point? So, in order to check myself, check those employees who claim bogus expenses like this, who claims the expenses which they have not actually incurred only, 48.2 is made. We don't mind that you purchase something from your related party. We don't mind if you are taking some services for your business from your related party. You can anytime do it. If you would have taken these goods or services from some outsiders and you would have paid them for that business expense, we would have definitely allowed it. So right now also we are going to allow. But pay them a reasonable amount, no? Which you would have paid to outsiders. So that officer will ask me that, sir, whom are you giving 1 lakh rupees of salary? I'll say, this fellow Kaushik. Oh, Kaushik Krishna and Umang Krishna both appear to be brothers. He happens to be your brother. Okay, okay. So all of a sudden he will start thinking, that assessing officer. By surname it appears that both are brothers. So now let us see, let us ask few more questions. So that assessing officer will ask me, sir, who is this Kaushik? I said, he happens to be my brother. Okay, okay, okay. So you have kept your brother as an employee with you in your organization? I will say, yes. He is an engineer, no? Okay, okay, okay. So he is working with you as an engineer. At what designation he is working? I will tell them that he is working as a senior engineer in my company. Okay, 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 okay. What is his qualification, sir? I will tell them that he is a civil engineer. Okay. So, sir, if somebody else would have joined your organization as a civil engineer, how much salary you would have paid, sir? I would have definitely paid the same 1 lakh rupees only. Why would I say that I would have paid 25,000? So I will tell my assessing officer, see, assessing officer, I would have anyways, if I would have employed anyone else, I would have paid 1 lakh rupees of salary. So he saw my earlier records. In my earlier records, I had employed one engineer prior to my brother. To him, I was paying a salary of 21,000 or 22,000 only. And the kind of work which he is doing for me does not demand me to pay him 1 lakh rupees. Then why am I giving him 1 lakh rupees? Automatically a question will arise in his mind. Now, what he will do? He will check that these kind of engineers, how much they are usually paid in such kind of businesses. In such kind of businesses, these type of engineers are usually paid in a range of 20 to 30,000 maximum. And sir is paying how much? 1 lakh rupees. Meaning that there is something fishy. There is something which is going on here and we are not aware about that. So what that assessing officer will do, he will tell me, sir, we have verified all the details and we have all sorts of data available with us. We can firmly say that whatever salary you are paying to your brother, no, is excess as compared to the market salary, market rate of salary. We checked in the market that the businesses, your type of businesses also employ engineers and they usually pay their engineers how much? In the range of 20 to 30,000. Okay, he is your brother, no? So you should have paid him 35. You should have paid him 40. But how come we believe you that you are paying a salary of 1 lakh rupees? That is completely an unbelievable thing. Getting my point? So what that assessing officer will do, see if he will ever come across to an expense which I have incurred for my business or profession, and if that expense, if I'm making the payment to any of my related party, no, so in case of related party payments, he will become very cautious while allowing that expense. Very cautious. Because there are bright chances that me and my brother would have tried to claim that expense more. I would have tried to claim that expense more by paying that amount to my brother, to my related party. Getting my point? So he will check that what is the market rate of salary. Is my business in the requirement of such type of employees or not? See, I have a very small shop. Okay, no, I'm giving you another example. I'm having a very small shop, 10 by 10, very small shop. Maximum 2 people can stand in that small shop to sell the goods and all. But I have claimed a salary expense of my employees amounting to rupees 12 lakhs. Saying that I have 4 employees, 25,000 each. I am paying 1 lakh rupees salary to 4 of my employees. Okay, multiplied by 12. 25,000 into 4 into 12. 12 lakh rupees salary I have claimed as a deduction. So that assessing officer will ask, who are your employees? Whom are you giving the salary? Out of all those employees, one will be my wife. Second will be my brother. Third will be my father. Fourth will be my younger sister. So these 4 people you have employed in your shop. Yes. There are too many customers in my shop. So instead of keeping someone else on job, I am keeping my family members only as my employees. And if they are working, I should pay them salary. No, if I would have paid that salary to someone else, you would have allowed that as a deduction. So allow this as a deduction. Wait, sir. No, wait. You have only 10 by 10 shop, no? Okay. Hardly 2 people can stand over there. And you are saying that in your that small shop, you have employed 4 employees. Does your business require these many employees? And if the requirement is there, where are you actually keeping your employees? Understanding or not? So these kind of things will come out when the scrutiny will be going on. So in the course of scrutiny, when he'll come to know that I have made some payment to some related parties, for every payment he'll ask me to whom this payment is made, to whom this payment is made. And if he come across to a fact that I have made this payment to some related party, what will happen? He will immediately become cautious. He'll start asking me, cross-questioning these kind of things. Yes or no? And based on his judgment, based on the requirement of my business, based on the market rate, these things he will keep in mind. And he will come to a conclusion that the salary should be paid, maximum salary should be paid 40,000. How much you have paid, sir? 1 lakh. According to us, 60,000 is unreasonable. Excess amount which you are paying. Even if you would have taken the best experienced engineer in your company, no, you would have paid maximum 40,000. And you are paying how much? 1 lakh. We don't believe you only. According to us, there is something fishy. There is a sham which is going on. We will disallow 60,000. And that 60,000 will be disallowed by them under this section. Okay, no? So there are many things which are kept in mind before disallowing this. This is in this section, no, many litigations also happen between the department and the assessor. Department will always try to prove it that the amount is unreasonable by giving X, Y, Z, many reasons. And I will try to save myself by giving A, B, C reasons that no, this amount which I have paid is not unreasonable, this is reasonable. This is the requirement of my business. This is that, this is this. Okay, no? So what I will try to do, I will try to save myself by saying that the amount is not unreasonable. But they will try to prove, giving some evidences, market rate, blah, 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 that I have paid something extra. But don't worry, we are not supposed to get involved into those things. You got the basic idea what is happening? Okay. So whenever the department will come to know that the business expense or the expense of my profession for which I have made a payment, and that payment which I have made is to a related party, and if they conclude they have those strong evidences based on which they can disallow the excess amount paid by me, they can disallow the unreasonable payment by me, and they can do it by taking the help of this section 40A2. Yes or no? So what if I am paying salary of 1 lakh and out of that 60,000 is considered to be what? Unreasonable or excess than reasonable amount? Then that 60,000 will be disallowed and the balance 40 should only be allowed. Now, who are these related parties, sir? So related parties for an individual. If you are an individual, for you the related party is any of your relatives. Now see, under section 40A subsection 2, they have said that your relatives are your related parties. Relatives are specified persons. But which relative they have not specified. Because see, my uncle is also my relative. My cousin is also my relative. My aunt is also my relative. So which relatives for 40A2? They have not prescribed anything under 40A2. They have just given the name relatives. Any payment made by an individual to his relative. Relative is a specified person. Getting my point? Who is a relative? 40A2 is silent. Silent. So I will have to go and check the definition of relative in the Income Tax Act, section 2. So section 2, subsection 41 defines relative. So in the entire Income Tax Act, wherever in any provision that is a mention about what? Relative. And if the term relative is not specifically defined in that section, then I will have to take the help of definition section. Definition is given in section 2, subsection 41, which says that for an individual assessee who is a relative, first relative always spouse. See how the lawmakers are also afraid of their spouses. They cannot make anyone else. They cannot call anyone else as their relative. They have to call their spouse only as the first relative. Okay. So who is the relative for the individual? Spouse. So my wife If I am a male, then my wife, and if I am a female, then my husband. Okay. So for an individual, spouse is a relative, number one. Number two, brother, and number three, sister of that individual assessee. I am not talking about brother of my spouse. I am not talking about sister of my spouse. They are my brother-in-law, sister-in-law. They are not my brothers and sisters. Okay, no. My own brother, my own sister, they are my relative for the purpose of Income Tax Act under section 2 subsection 41. Getting my point? So as per 241, who is a relative? My spouse is my relative. Who is a relative? My brother is my relative. Who is a relative? My sister is my relative. My lineal ascendants. LA means lineal ascendants and LD means lineal descendants. Lineal ascendants means my ancestors, my father, my grandfather, my great grandfather, they are what? They are my lineal ascendants. So my generations which comes before me, they are my lineal ascendants. And the generations which comes after me, my children, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, they are my lineal descendants. Okay. So if I talk about spouse, brother, sister, lineal ascendant, lineal descendant, as per section 241, they are my relatives. And if I have made any payment for my business expense to any of these relatives, then the payment should be a reasonable amount. If any payment made to them which is unreasonable, or any payment made to them in excess of reasonable amount, yes or no, that excess amount or that unreasonable amount as per 48.2 will be disallowed. Okay. So for an individual assessee, who is a specified person? Relative. To a relative, any payment is made and that payment is unreasonable or in excess of reasonable amount, then that excess amount will be disallowed under section 48.2. Sure. Next one. Now this individual or this relative will have a substantial interest in any concern. So see, if I talk about this individual, no, assessee. This is assessee. He is an individual. Let's say he is Mr. X. So for Mr. X, who is a related party? Who is a specified person for Mr. X? His relatives. Who are relatives, guys? Who are relatives? 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Number 1 is spouse. Number 1 is spouse, brother, sister, any lineal ascendant or lineal descendant of this individual. Okay, they are specified person. Now there will be a concern. There will be a concern. Concern means a business concern. Concern can be a partnership firm. It can be a proprietorship firm. It can be a company. It can be AOPBY. It can be any concern. Okay, no? So if Mr. X himself is having a substantial interest in this concern, or any relative of Mr. X is having substantial interest in this concern, then this concern is also a related party. Then this concern is also a related party. Why? Because in this concern, the assessee himself is having substantial interest. Or this is a concern where relative of that individual is having a substantial interest. What do you mean by substantial interest? 20% or more voting rights if the concern is a company. 20% or more profit sharing if the concern is any concern other than company. So if the concern is what? Partnership fund, then 20% or more profit sharing. If the concern is a company, then 20% or more voting rights in the company, 20% or more beneficial ownership in the shares. Yes or no? Now that substantial interest in the concern can be of this assessee also can be of this relative also, and to this concern also, if any payment is made by the individual assessee, if this individual assessee is making the payment to this concern, then the payment should be reasonable amount. Hello sir, any unreasonable amount paid to this concern disallowed. Any excess amount, any amount in excess of reasonable amount paid to this concern will be disallowed, because this concern is also a related party to that assessee. Why related party? Because in this concern, that individual assessee himself or any of his relative is having a substantial interest. Because of that substantial interest, this concern can be influenced. I can actually put my influence on that concern. I will tell that concern, see, 20% or more profit sharing I'm having. I'm making you some payment. Buy some goods from me. For that, I will make you the payment and give me back some money. I can actually do with this concern. Getting my point? So, next one. Mahadev. Now see, now the assessee in the next case, assessee is either an HUF or AOP and BOI, or the assessee can be a partnership firm, or the assessee can be a company also. Now, if these type of assessees also make payment, so the payment can be made to whom? See, HUF, AOP, BOI making the payment to any of its members. Who is this? This is a member. Okay. Member of the HUF, member of the AOP, BOI. Or the payment can be made to by the partnership firm. By the partnership firm, the payment can be made to any of its P for partners, M for member, P for partner. Okay. Or if the company is making that payment, so the company can make that payment to any of its directors. Company can make the payment to any of its D for directors. So my dear friends, any payment made by the assessee, being HUF, AOP, BOI or partnership firm or a company, any payment made by these assessees to their members, their partners, their director should not be more than reasonable amount. If it is more than the reasonable amount, then the excess amount will be disallowed. Unreasonable amount will be disallowed. Getting my point, everyone? Wait. Not just to these people. Hello. Not just to these people. But the payment can be made to any relative. What did I say? Any relative of the member. Relative means who? Come on, tell me. Who is the relative over here? So for this member, who will be the relative? Spouse, brother, sister, or lineal ascendant, lineal descendant of that member. So even the relative of this member. So the payment is made to this relative also. Getting my point? If the payment is made to this relative also, then that payment will be covered under 40A2. That payment will be covered under 40A2. If that payment is excess payment. So for HUF, AOP, BOI, who is a related party? Member is a related party. And the relative of the member is also a related party. Getting my point? Or here also, please pay attention. Any relative of the partner, or any relative of the director in case of a company, Sure, no? So now the payment is made by the partnership firm. Now the payment will be made by that partnership firm. To whom? To the relative of the partner also will be covered here. Sure, sir? Everyone? Or relative of the director. So tell me, who is a specified person? Any member, partner, or director, or any relative of such member, partner, or director. Any relative of such member, partner, or director is also a related party for the assessee. So if the assessee is making payment to member, partner, director, or the payment is made to any relative of that member, partner, or director, then that payment should not be excess payment. It should be reasonable payment. Yes or no? Wait. Now, can there be a company? Can there be a partnership firm? Can there be any concern? So now there is a concern, friends. Now there is a concern. And in this concern, either the assessee will have substantial interest, or any member, partner, director will have substantial interest, or any relative of such member, partner, director will have substantial interest. Then this concern is also a related party. Getting my point? So, who is having a substantial interest? Either the assessee will have, or any member, partner, or director of the assessee, or any relative of such member, partner, or director can have substantial interest over here. Got it? So, any payment made to this concern also should be within the limits, should be within the reasonable amount. If any payment made to this concern which is unreasonable or excess will be disallowed completely. No, not completely. The excess amount, the unreasonable amount will be disallowed. Will you remember this? Sure, sir. This is the end of section 40A, subsection 2. Done. Sure? See. Individual, this. HFAOPBI form, member, partner, director, relative of such member, partner, director, okay, or any concern is there where the assessee or member, partner, director or any of their relative is having a substantial interest in the concern. Sure? Okay. Now coming to section 40A, subsection 3. And if you read this, no, if you read this, you'll understand that something like this we have already done earlier. Now pay attention what I'm trying to tell you. If assessee, who is any person, he is making payment for any expenditure. This is incurred for the purpose of business or profession. Yes or no? Now that expenditure towards which the payment is made, that expenditure should not be a capital expenditure. Should not be a capital expenditure. Because if it is a capital expenditure, meaning actual cost of the asset. Hello? If it is a capital expenditure, meaning actual cost of the asset. And for that actual cost of the asset, if the payment is made in a day to a party and the payment is more than 10,000, hello, then that excess payment of the actual cost will not be treated as actual cost only, proviso to 43 subsection 1. We have already seen that. So the type of expenditure which we are covering here is not capital expenditure. For that, we already have a proviso to section 43, 1. So which type of expenditure we are covering here? any expenditure for your business or profession. Not in the nature of capital expenditure. What did I say? Not in the nature of capital expenditure. So other than capital expenditure, any expenditure for your business or profession. And for that expenditure, if you are making a payment, and that payment is made in a day to a person, okay, and if that payment is single payment more than rupees 10,000, or in a day to a person multiple payments are made, and the aggregate amount of that multiple payments in a day is more than rupees 10,000, then you have to make sure that such business expenses are also paid by way of prescribed modes. Not just the cost of asset paid in a day more than 10,000, but any expenditure other than that assets cost, any other expense which you are incurring for the business, even those expenses paid in a day more than 10,000 should be paid by way of prescribed mode only. So if that payment in a day is made by way of any mode which is other than what? Prescribed modes, then such payment which is more than 10,000, yes or no, and made by way of any mode other than prescribed modes, then such payment will not be treated as expense incurred for the purpose of business or profession, and accordingly such payment will be disallowed under section 40A(3). Full stop. Will you remember this? So let me conclude now. Payment up to 10,000 in a day. Payment up to 10,000 in a day made in cash. Allowed or not allowed? Allowed. Up to 10,000, any mode allowed. In a day, if the payment is made 10,000 or less, any mode you pay, it is allowed. Getting my point? But if in a day that payment is more than 10,000, then that payment has to be made by way of prescribed modes. Then any mode is not allowed. Then only prescribed mode is allowed. And what if prescribed mode is not? What if prescribed mode is not followed? You are making that payment which is more than 10,000 other than prescribed modes. Then this disallowance will be attracted. So can I say payment for expenses of business or profession, if that payment is up to rupees 10,000, what did I say? Up to rupees 10,000, then it is allowed by any mode. Allowed by any mode. So if it is made by any mode, cash, check, cross check, account pay check, prescribed modes, any mode this payment is made, it will be allowed. Don't worry, no problem. Problem will arise if in a single day the payment made is more than 10,000. Getting my point, sir? Sir, there in the actual cost also, no? Actual cost of the asset paid in a day, if that amount is 10,000 or less, no problem. That will be treated as actual cost. That will not be covered by the proviso. Getting my point? Hello, sir? What if that payment for the actual cost was more than 10,000? Then it was not treated as actual cost. Hello? Here also the same thing. payment for business expense other than capital expenditure, if more than 10,000, then 40A3. But if that payment in a day is up to 10,000, then make that payment by any mode. No, we will allow. No problem. Getting my point? Should I move ahead? Now wait. Wait, payment for transport or freight charges. Payment of any business expense or only this business expense? Only this business expense. Payment for any business expense? No. Payment for only this business expense, which is transport or freight charges. So this payment should be made to a transporter only, no? For your business, for your profession, are you taking some help of the transporter to transport goods, etc.? Hello? So will you make the payment of transport charges? Will you make the payment of freight charges? Yes, sir. Isn't it your business expense? Yes. So payment of this freight or transport charges, this freight or transport charges is also your expense for your business, which is not of capital nature. But for this payment, limit checked will not be 10,000, limit checked will be 35,000. How much? How much? 35,000. So if that payment is up to rupees 35,000, then any mode is what? Allowed. So transport charges paid in a day to a transporter, 8,000 in cash, allowed. 15,000 in cash, then also allowed. Even though the amount is more than 10,000, still it will be allowed. Because for transporters, whatever payment you make, no, for that, you don't have to check 10,000 limit, you have to check 35,000 limit. Up to 35,000 by any mode it is allowed. But if the payment made to transporters for transport charges or freight charges is what? More than what? 35,000. So more than rupees 35,000. Then such payment made by way of any prescribed modes, then it is allowed. And if it is paid by way of any other mode, what did I say? Any other mode, then that entire payment will be disallowed. So to one transporter you are making a payment of 35,000 in cash. Allowed or disallowed? Allowed. Up to 35, any payment, any mode, allowed. If you have made the payment of 36,000, how much? 36,000. Is it more than 35,000? Yes. Now make sure that the entire 36,000 which you are paying in a day must be by way of prescribed modes. If it is not paid in prescribed modes, no, then the entire 36,000 will be disallowed. Getting my point? Hello, sir. So wait. If I say business expense, which is not a capital expenditure and not transport charges, what limit will you check? Come on, tell me, what limit you will check? 10,000 or 35,000? You will check 10,000 here. Sure. So that business expense paid in a day to a person up to 10,000. Up to 10,000 allowed. By any mode, it is allowed. But if it is more than 10,000, then? If it is more than 10,000, then only prescribed mode. If made by way of prescribed mode, then allowed. But any other mode other than prescribed mode, the entire payment made by way of any other mode will be disallowed because that payment was more than 10,000. Yes or no? So here always check how much? 10,000. Now what if this is your business expense, but it is a transport charges, not a capital expenditure, but it is a transport charge. Any other business expense 10,000, but a business expense which is a transport charges, for that will you check 10,000? No, you have to check 35,000. Now tell me, payment in by way of cash 35,000, 35 or less. Payment by way of any mode, cash, other than cash, allowed, no problem. But if that payment made is 40,000, is the payment more than 35,000? Yes. If that 40,000 is paid by way of prescribed mode, then 40,000 will be allowed. But if that 40,000 is paid by way of cash, bearer check, cross check, meaning other than prescribed modes, then that entire 40,000 will be disallowed. Sure? So for transport charges, check 35,000, and for other business expenses, please check 10,000. The concept remains the same. See this thing, payment for transport charges, and this same concept remains. But here, what will be there? Payment for any expenditure, you check 10,000. Now here, if payment for any expenditure, no, transport charges, then the same thing will be applicable, but instead of 10,000, how much limit you will take here? 35,000. Done? Done? Now one question should I ask you. What if the payment is made for any capital expenditure incurred for the purpose of business or profession? Capital expenditure incurred for the purpose of business or profession, meaning it is actual cost of asset. There also you are supposed to check 10,000 only. But don't check 35,000 over there. See, you are buying one asset. You are buying one asset. Transport charges for that asset is not your revenue expenditure, is your capital expenditure to be added to the cost. There you don't check 35. There you are supposed to check 10,000 only. Getting my point, everyone? But any expenditure which is not a capital expenditure, now this transport charges is not your capital expenditure. It is not to be added to the cost of the asset. This is your normal revenue expenditure. Getting my point? Then for this you check the limit of 35,000. So if to conclude here, payment for capital expenditure of expenditure meaning what? Capital expenditure means actual cost of asset. And my dear friend, this actual cost of asset includes what? Transportation and freight charges for asset. Yes or no? This is also included in the actual cost of the asset. This is also your capital expenditure. Any payment for this capital expenditure means actual cost of the asset, which also includes transport and freight charges. For this payment, please check 10,000 limit. Please check 10,000 limit only. Understanding? If they want to make your life a little bit miserable, no, in the examinations, they can give such kind of points in the exam. They will say that asset you acquired for how much? 5 lakhs. So for that 5 lakh, you are making the payment by way of prescribed modes. So that 5 lakh will be treated as your actual cost. Okay. Now, for that same asset, you incurred following expenses to bring the assets to its working condition. The condition at which they will be put to use. Yes or no? Making them ready for their intended use. Different expenses you will make. Installation and erection charges has to be added to the cost. Loading unloading charges has to be added to the cost. Transportation charges of this asset from seller's premises to owner's to assessor's factory, transportation charges has to be added to the cost. So whatever amount you are supposed to add to the cost is nothing but actual cost, is nothing but capital expenditure. And if that is a capital expenditure, that actual cost includes this transportation charges also. And for that, there is no separate limit of 35,000 prescribed over there in Proviso 243.1. Proviso 243.1 is applicable on the entire actual cost, which includes the transport charges also. And there it is not mentioned that out of that actual cost for transport charges, check 35,000. No, there it is 10,000 only. Getting my point? Sure, sir? Perfect. In one of the exam questions, no, they had tested this concept. So all the students, majority of the students did a mistake over here. That they took what limit? 35,000 limit for the transport charges. Payment made for transport charges was only 25,000, which is more than 10,000. Paid in cash should be disallowed because that transport charges was for the transportation of the asset. So should be disallowed. But what student said? No, since it is a transport charges, no. The limit is how much? 35,000. And since it is within the limit, 25,000 payment is done, it is allowed. And they added that amount to the actual cost of the asset. Gone. You will keep this thing in mind, please. Okay. So now 40A3 is over. Along with 40A3, now see a new concept. 40A3A is also introduced. With 40A3, a new subsection is also introduced. Now this subsection is not new for this year. It was inserted few years back. What used to happen? A mischief used to happen. I'll tell you what used to happen. Then you'll understand that what is this section and why this section is saying like that. What mischief used to happen? I'll tell you. I'll write down and I'll keep on explaining. Wait. See, this is an assessee. Okay. Assessee can be any person. Now this assessee has incurred any expenditure for business or profession. Incurred any expenditure for business or profession. And now this expenditure for the purpose of business or profession, it is incurred, guys, incurred. Which is already, what did I say? Already allowed as deduction. Already allowed as what? Deduction. Okay. Why it was allowed as deduction? Because it was incurred, meaning it is still due or it is still outstanding. Okay. So that business expense or the expense of the profession, no payment is made for that. The expense is incurred for this year. Okay. No payment is made for that. That is still due. That is still outstanding in my year. But it is still allowed as a deduction to me. Why? Why it was allowed? Because this is your current year's expense, sir. And current year expense should be allowed in current year because you are following mercantile system of accounting. So assessee would be following what? Mercantile system of accounting. And since he is following mercantile system of accounting, hence all the incomes of this year, whether received or receivable, taxable in this year. All the business or business related expenses incurred in this year, whether paid or outstanding, will be allowed in this year. So I have already claimed the deduction for any expense. Here, no, here. This year, expenditure is incurred and the payment is also made in this year. This expenditure is not outstanding anymore. And expenditure incurred. And this year only you are making the payment. Then this expenditure will be allowed or not? It will be disallowed. So when you will go to claim the deduction for the expense, at that time while claiming the deduction, it will be disallowed. Deduction was not allowed, so it can be disallowed. Here, the deduction is already allowed. How can you bloody disallow something under section 48(3) which is already allowed? On what basis? Due basis. Understanding? So if some expenditure was already, see, usually this happens for those expenses which are booked at the end of the year, for which the payment is not made in this year. Those expenses are booked at the end of the year, meaning in the month of March, I came to know that this is my expense. I am yet to make that payment. Okay, no? But since this was the expenditure of this year, I will record in this year only. So I'll get the deduction also for this year. So what the assessees used to do, they used to book an expense. On what basis? Due basis. And they used to claim also the deduction on what basis? Due basis. Now, against this expenditure for which the deduction is already allowed, expenditure for business or profession on due basis only, outstanding basis, it is allowed. Why? Because the assessee is following mercantile system of accounting. Now, if for such expenditure, comma, later on a payment is made, and payment is made in a day to a person, that payment is a single payment which is more than 10,000, or that payment made in a day is not a single payment, there are multiple payments made in that day, and the aggregate of all such payment in that day is more than 10,000. Getting my point, everyone? So don't you think that this should also be paid by way of prescribed mode only? Even this payment should be made by way of prescribed mode only, no? So this was paid by way of any mode but other than prescribed mode. What will happen over here, even if the payment is more than 10,000, even if it is made to a person in a day, even if the payment is more than 10,000 made by way of other modes, still it cannot be disallowed under section 40A3. 40A3 will not be attracted only. Why? 40A3 gets attracted only if the deduction was not allowed and you are coming to claim the deduction. Meaning, expenses of the previous year are usually paid in the previous year itself. But what if for those expenses, year end expenses are incurred, but the payment are not made till the year end? So those expenses for this year are allowed as a deduction in this year only. Sure, no? The moment the expense is booked, it will be allowed because the assessee is following mercantile system. Expense is allowed. Expense is allowed. But now later on when the payment will be made, your assessing officer will ask you, no, let's see, in this year you claimed a deduction of 10 lakh rupees as your expense. 10 lakh rupees you pay, 10 lakh rupees expense was there, no, in this year. And you came to us saying that this 10 lakh, allow me on what basis? Due basis. So we have already allowed the deduction for that 10 lakhs in this year only. Now the assessing officer will ask you, whenever next time he'll call you, he'll ask you, what about that year-end amount 10 lakh rupees, which you booked as your expense, which you claimed as a deduction from us? Have you made the payment of that amount? You will say, yes, yes, we have made. Okay. How you have paid? I have paid in cash. Oh, cash. Amount is more than 10,000. Business expense. You should have paid by way of any mode other than cash, meaning prescribed modes you should have paid. Why are you paying in cash? We will disallow. You will say disallow. You cannot apply 43 only. How can you disallow that 10 lakh again, which you have already allowed? On what basis? Due basis. And now whatever way we have made the payment, you will have to accept it. You cannot disallow also. Provisions of 48(3) cannot be stretched to those expenses which are allowed on what basis? Due basis. Getting my point? So the assessing officer says, no boss, even that payment should have been made by way of prescribed modes. So it will not be disallowed. Once the thing which is allowed, how can it be disallowed? So that poor fellow did not have anything to say or anything to do, because under the law there was no provision which was made to handle such kind of situations. And this happened for many years. And what assessees used to do, you know, they used to claim bogus expenses, imaginary amounts. In the year end, if the profits are huge, no, they used to book what? Bogus expenses. And they used to claim those expenses on due basis without actually making the payment. Once the expenditure is claimed as deduction, you all have allowed, no? Now, even if I can't prove that I have made the payment, I will have to tell you and you will have to believe me. And you cannot attract 48(3) in these kind of situations because you only have allowed that expense to us. But this way, the assessee is fooling the department, fooling the government, no? And the assessees used to fool, and they fooled for many years. Few years back, an amendment came. 40(a)(3) cannot be applied in these situations, meaning that this expense should not have been allowed, but you have already claimed as a deduction. So now if we cannot disallow by 40(a)(3), now we will apply 40(a)(3)(a). And as per 40(a)(3)(a), such payment will be treated as your deemed PGBP income, because that was according to us bogus expense which you are claiming. And if you don't have any evidences to show that whether that payment is actually made by you or not, meaning prescribed modes you have not made the payment, meaning you don't have any evidences to show us that you have actually made that payment. So that payment we have already allowed. So to reverse that effect, what we will do? We will consider that much amount which you have paid by other than prescribed modes, we will consider that much amount as your deemed PGBP income. Getting my point, everyone? Sure, sir. Should I move ahead? Here also, no. Wait. This limit will be 35,000. If the business expense allowed was transport or freight charges on due basis. So transport or freight charges allowed on what basis? Due basis. And now later on the payment for transport or freight charges is made and that payment is more than 35,000. Then other than prescribed modes, the payment should have been done. But you have not made the payment by way of other than prescribed modes, meaning now that amount cannot be disallowed under 40A3A. That amount as per 40A3A will be treated as your deemed PGBP income. Under section 40A3, it cannot be disallowed because it was already allowed, transport charges. And for that transport charges, the payment made is more than 10, more than 35,000. Got it? Other than prescribed modes, the payment is made. Then as per 40A3A, now that will be treated as, that payment will be treated as your deemed PGBP income. Will you remember this much? Sure, sir. Now, there are certain exceptions to 40A3 and 40A3A. There are certain exceptions. What is the meaning of exceptions, friends? Meaning of exceptions? Where is Akshaya? She's not there. What happened to her? I guess now there is a connection issue at her end. Okay, no problem. Now tell me, what is the exception? Exceptions means under these situations, even if the payment is more than 10,000, even if the payment for transport charges is more than 35,000 and the payment is not made by way of prescribed modes, still that payment will not be covered by 40A3, 40A3A. Meaning, still that will not be disallowed. Still that will not be treated as your deemed PGBP income. Meaning, these are the cases where whatever way you are paying, the expense will be allowed as a deduction. 40A3, 40A3A will not be attracted. And those exceptions are given in Rule 6DD. Which rule, friends? Rule 6DD. In this rule, there are certain cases. Okay. Under these cases, even if the payment is more than 10,000, payment for transport charges is more than 35,000, even if that payment is not made by way of the modes which are prescribed, account pay check, account pay draft, ECS, NEFT, RTGS, yes or no? Still, for such cases, 40A3, 40A3A not applicable. Got it? Would you like to know these cases? Very important, huh? Very important. For exams, really important. They check you on this in the exam. And many of the students neglect this part and go in the exam. And now even the institute has come to know that students will do 40A3 and 40A3A properly and they'll come. But they are not going to do exceptions properly. So let us exploit that exception part in the question and confuse the students. And they have started doing it, huh? So be very careful. Now, where are these exceptions? Rule 60, For this, we will refer ICAI study material. Page number 3.276, if I'm not wrong. Let me check once. 3.276, yes. 99%, yes, see. 3.276. On that, can you see Rule 6DD I have highlighted? Okay. So we are going to read those exceptions one by one from here. Okay. What they are saying? Cases and circumstances. Cases and circumstances in which payment or aggregate of payment exceeding 10,000 may be made. Payment or aggregate payment which is more than 10,000 may be made to a person in a day, otherwise than by account pay check, account pay draft, ECS, through bank account or through such other electronic modes prescribed in Rule 6A BBA. Meaning, under Rule 6A BBA, no other modes are prescribed. We call it prescribed modes only. Okay, no? Now, wait. See, they have told you, number one, read this part. What is important, I have already highlighted. Payment made to. What did I say? Payment made to. Meaning that you are an assessee. You have incurred some business or profession related expense. And now for that payment, you are making the payment to whom? To the RBI or any banking company. Or you are making that payment to SBI or any subsidiary of SBI. You are making that payment to any cooperative society or any land mortgage bank. You are making that payment to any primary agricultural credit society or any primary credit society. Or you are making that payment to Life Insurance Corporation of India, LIC of India. If any of these people are there and you are making the payment for your business or profession expense to these type of persons, then we request you to make that payment by way of any mode. Not even in prescribed modes, then also no problem. No problem. Pay by any mode to these persons. That payment will be allowed. That payment will not attract 40A3, 40A3A, even if the payment is more than 10,000. Even if not paid by way of any prescribed mode. Yes or no? But since the payment was made to these persons, no, we will allow. Why they are allowing, You can say that it is your business expense. You can say that it is your business expense and you have actually made the payment. Even without making that payment, you can say. But now you are saying that you have made the payment to whom? To these parties, no? You can lie to us that you have made the payment to these parties. They will not lie to us. When the department will go and ask them, no, they are government entities only. Entities influenced by the government. Entities connected to the income tax department directly. So if you are making a single rupee payment to them, no, you can lie, but they will not lie. Okay, you have made payment to SBI, no? Wait, SBI? Assessee has made the payment? Yes, he has made. We can trust them. SBI? Assessee has made the payment? No, he has not made the payment. He is lying you. Okay, we trust you. Directly, they can be contacted. So make the payment by whatever way you can. If you have made the payment in cash, they will tell us that you have actually paid. Then it is your expense. We will allow you. Whatever mode the payment made to these parties, it will not attract 40A3, 40A3A. Will you remember this? Sure. RBI or any banking company, any bank or RBI or SBI or any subsidiary of SBI. Then any cooperative bank or any land mortgage bank or any primary credit agricultural society or any primary credit society, or the payment is made to LIC of India. Okay. So see, now you are making payment to government, second part. And the government rules, as per the government rules, that payment has to be made in what? Legal tender. Legal tender means, sir, what is the meaning of legal tender, sir? Come on, anyone can tell me. Legal tender means currency, cash, hard cash. If for your business or expense, you are supposed to make a payment to the government. And as per the government rules, you are supposed to make that payment by way of legal tender, meaning in cash. The government rules tells you to make that payment in legal tender. Make that payment in cash. Now will you go and tell the government that no government, this is my business expense. The payment which I am making to you is more than 10,000. I should pay by prescribed modes. So the government will say, who will disallow? Who will disallow? We are the only persons who is going to disallow, no? And if we are only telling you to make the payment in cash, we would be knowing that whether you have made that payment to us or not. So what is the point of disallowing that? And our rule says that you have to make that payment in legal tender. So make that payment in legal tender. No, we know that you have actually made the payment. We'll allow it. So this will not attract 40A3 or 40A3A. Yes or no, sir? Next one. Now where the payment is made by. What is the meaning by made to? What is the meaning of made to? Meaning that whatever payment for your business or profession, you are making that payment to certain specific persons. Payee to whom the payment is made should be this. 40A3, 40A3 are not applicable. Now they are not talking about payee. Now they are telling you that how you are making that payment. To any person you can make the payment. But to that person, if you are making the payment like this, then also it is allowed. Even though the mode is not prescribed, this mode is not prescribed, but still it will be allowed. Sometimes to import the goods from outside India, you have to issue letter of credits to that opposite party. He will not sell you the goods without this LC. He will always tell you, a seller sitting outside India from whom you are buying goods or services for your business or profession, that seller will tell you, okay, we are ready to sell you the goods. We are ready to give you the services. But the payment which you are making to us, no, whether you are going to make the payment or not. We don't believe you that if we will send the goods from here, then you are going to make us the payment. No. So do one thing, open an LC in your bank. Give us the payment through this LC only. Because you can run away taking our money, but the LC through which you are making the payment, no, the bank has to honor that LC. And bank is going to issue LC only if you have deposited that much amount to the bank. Getting my point? So the bank will know that you have given the money to the bank, which through LC is paid to someone outside India. So the transaction is recorded in banking system. You have actually paid, appears in the banking system. There is an evidence that the payment is actually made. There is an evidence that to which specific person the payment is being made. Yes or no? Through this LC. So LC is a prescribed mode. No, it is not a prescribed mode. But this is a mode covered in rule 6DD, which is allowed. Even if the payment is made through these modes, which is prescribed in rule 6DD, still it will be allowed. Even if it is more than 10,000. No 40A3, no 40A3A. Getting my point? Sure, sir. Next one. Now they are saying that the payment is made by way of a mail or telegraphic transfer. See, earlier this mode of payment used to be very famous when there was no banking system was not developed. People used to send money through post. Post means telegraph. Post means mail transfer or telegraphic transfer. This used to happen through post offices. So any mail transfer, M-A-I-L, mail transfer, not mail. Mail transfer or a telegraphic transfer, through that also you have made the payment. This is also not a prescribed mode, but a mode prescribed in rule 6DD. As per this mode also you can make the payment. Any payment, any amount to anyone. But the mode should be this only. Now this mode is no more, used widely. Many of the post offices shut down sending money through mail transfer or what? Telegraphic transfer. Because now the banking system and everything is so developed, no? People are not using this thing only. Getting my point? So why it is written? It is not inserted right now. It was inserted long back with in rule 6DD. Since that time only it is there. Okay. So it is here only. Now next one. Any book adjustment from any account in a bank to any other account in that or any other bank. Wow, wonderful. See, I have incurred some business expense or the expense for my profession. And for that now I am supposed to make the payment to Kaushik. Kaushik is having a bank account in the same bank where I am also having a bank account. So I will tell my bank that from my account, transfer this much fund to Kaushik's account, which is there in the same bank. Or it may be in some other bank also. But as per my instructions, my bank from my account will transfer the amount to his account, whether his account is in the same bank or any other bank. Bank transfers also happens, no, on the instructions of the client, on the instruction of the customer. So I'm a customer of the bank. I'm telling the bank that see, for my business or profession, I have to make this much payment to Kaushik. Kaushik is having an account in your bank, or Kaushik is having a account in some other bank. I'll give you his account details, account number, which bank, which branch, IFSC, all the details I will provide. Based on these details, make the payment. Or wait, these details will be given if the account is in another bank. If in your same bank, no, I'll just give you what? I'll give you the account number of your same bank. Same branch, then you will come to know, na? But same bank, different branch, then also you'll come to know. We'll tell you the branch name also, branch code also. Just transfer from my account, transfer the funds to Kaushik's account. Book adjustment is happening in the books of bank. In the books of bank, this transaction will be recorded. That it is money is going from my account to a specific account, Kaushik's account. So money is leaving me. Proof is there. And money is going to a specific person's account. Proof is also there in the banking system. Allowed. Why to apply 40A3 and 40A3A in this case? No need to apply 40A3, 40A3. Getting my point? If it is a bank fund transfer directly from account to account. Okay. Next one. Any payment to any person through a bill of exchange. Payable only to a bank. See, through bill of exchange, no, you can make the private payments also. So any private party payment through bill of exchange is not allowed. Huh? Payment is allowed through bill of exchange if it is payable only to a bank. So for your business or profession, you might have incurred some expense. For that expense, you now need to make the payment to the bank. But how are you paying to the bank? You are issuing a bill of exchange. Through that bill of exchange, you are making the payment. Bill of exchange payable to a bank. So any payment by way of these modes covered in Rule 6DD will also be allowed fully. No 40A3, no 40A3A will be attracted. Every one, even if the amount is more than 10,000 in a day. Done. Should I move ahead? Next one. Where the payment is made by way of adjustment. Now read this. Very interesting point. Read it. What is the meaning of this? For example, Raj Lakshmi is there. in my books, no, in my books of accounts, Raj Lakshmi is my debtor by rupees 80,000 because I have sold some goods to her. And in my books, she is my creditor also because I have bought some goods from her. So she is my creditor in my books for rupees 1 lakh. And she is my debtor in my books for rupees 80,000. So how much should I give her? Only 20. Meaning that the expense which I have incurred 1 lakh rupees, for which she is my creditor, for that expense, have I already made the payment? By adjusting 80,000 of debtors. This is what book adjustment. Debtor to creditor adjustment in my books. So if in my books I'm making a debtor to creditor adjustment, so whatever debtor which will be utilized to be adjusted against that expense, yes or no? That much payment is made by way of prescribed mode? No. But it is made through book adjustment? No. Book entries? No. Then also it is okay. Then also 48.3, 48.3 will not be attracted. Will you remember? Now this point is really very important, which is coming to you right now. Many times they have asked this point in the exam. Many times. Where the payment is made for purchase of in your business or in your profession, assessee, you are purchasing these items. And for these items, whatever payments you are supposed to make, you can make by any mode. No problem. 48.3 will not be attracted. Provided for these items, the payment is made to their cultivator. Payment is made to their grower. Payment is made to their producer. So, cultivator, grower or producer of these items, you are directly buying these goods from the cultivator. You are directly buying these goods from the grower. You are directly buying these goods from producer of these items. And you are making the payment for these items to that cultivator, to that grower, to that producer. What items are covered? Please check. Agriculture or forest produce. So any agricultural or forest produce you are buying for your business or profession. And for that you are making the payment to cultivator or the grower. Getting my point? Or the producer of that item. So whatever payment you have made to that person, no, even if that payment is more than 10,000, you have paid by any mode, that payment will be allowed. No problem. Because we cannot expect you to make the payment to these guys in prescribed modes. He's an agriculturist. He's a farmer, cultivator, very small person. He might not be having a bank account. So if you are directly going and buying from them and making them the payment, pay in any mode. Because anyways, whatever payment you will make to them, no, will be their agricultural income, fully exempt. Getting my point? Anyways, they were not supposed to pay us tax on that. But you have made that payment, that is your expense. We will allow you that expense fully. Any mode, any amount is okay. So any agricultural produce or a forest produce or any produce of animal husbandry, including livestock, meat, hides and skins, dairy or poultry farming products. Getting my point? You are buying dairy products for your business or profession. Can you buy dairy products for your business or profession? Yes. You are running a restaurant. In that restaurant, you are buying dairy products. In your restaurant, you are buying these animal husbandry items, eggs and all. Eggs you are buying, meat you are buying, fishes you are buying. Fish and all is covered in the next point. Please check. Fish or fish products. Or there are products of horticulture or apiculture. Horticulture means flowers and all are there, no? Flowers, ornamental flowers and all. Those are known as horticulture and apiculture. Getting my point? So you are making the payment for these items. Meaning in your business or profession, you are buying these items. Okay. These items are bought for your own business or profession. And for these items, whatever payment you are making, no, by any mode, even if the amount is more than 10,000, we will allow fully. provided these payments for these items are made to their cultivator, their grower or their producer only. Sure, sir. Should I move? Easy, interesting, no? Now just imagine one adjustment will be there. P&L account made. Debit side. Purchases. Debit side purchases. 10 lakh rupees of purchase. And in the adjustment they will give you purchases include rupees 2 lakhs. Purchases include rupees 2 lakhs for purchase of agricultural produce, meaning for purchase of wheat, because the assessee is in the business of manufacturing wheat flour. Wheat flour, you know, na? So you are in the business of manufacturing wheat flour. You are manufacturing wheat flour. So to manufacture this, you would require to buy wheat, no? So wheat is grown by a cultivator, and from that cultivator, 2 lakh worth of wheat you are buying. And you are buying and making the payment to that cultivator in cash. In cash. Now you will say, sir, business expense amount is more than 10,000, 2 lakhs, paid in cash. I disallowed, gone. As per Rule 6DD, if this payment, whatever amount made for what? Agricultural produce to their cultivator is allowed by any mode. Why are you disallowing? No need to disallow. 48.3, 48.3A not attracted over here. Got it, sir? Raj Lakshmi, say hi to your daughter. She went. Okay. She's very naughty, I guess. Done? Now see, these two notes are given. Okay. Ignore these two notes. What is the meaning of fish? Fish products. See? Shrimp, prawns, cuttlefish, squid, crab, lobsters, etc. are what? Fish. Clarification given. So in that fish or fish products, even these will be treated as what? Fish. So any payment made for them is as good as payment made for fish or fish products. Even that will not attract what? 48.3, 48.3. So likewise, one more clarification is given below that about the fish products and all. No need to read this. No problem. If you remember this point to know, then that's okay. Okay. Next one. Next point. See this one. F. Point number F. Read it. Where the payment is made for purchase of the products manufactured or processed. Products manufactured or processed without the aid of power in a cottage industry. And the payment for this purchase of product should be made to its producer. Small handicraft items are there, no? Handmade items, baskets made of what do you call bamboos and all. Bamboo stick baskets are made. So cottage industries are running. And in any of the cottage industry, someone is producing any product in a cottage industry without the help of electricity, handmade item. Without the use of electricity means without the use of machineries. So these are machine-made products, cottage industry. No, these are handmade cottage industry products because they are made without the aid of power. Handmade items of cottage industry. Got it? There are few jute bags and all. Handloom items are there. Jute bags are there. Then there are bamboo stakes. These are usually cottage industry items, okay, where no power is used, no electricity is used to manufacture these goods. And the producer who is manufacturing these goods must be producing that from his hands only, no? Handmade items. So to that producer, if you are making the payment for purchase of these goods, allowed any mode, whatever payment allowed. Just imagine, bloody he cannot afford machinery to produce all these things. He'll be a small person, no? So how can we expect him to have a bank account? And if you are buying from them, you are helping them to grow, no? So why would we tell you to go and make the payment to these people in what? Prescribed modes. Even if you don't pay in prescribed modes, no problem, we are going to allow. Don't worry. Getting my point? Should I move ahead? Very good. Next one. Next one. Where the payment is made in a village or town. Payment is made in a village or town. Now they are saying that in this location you are supposed to make the payment. Where are you making the payment? In a city? No. Are you making the payment in any village or town? Yes. Which on the date of such payment is? On the date of such payment is not solved by any bank. So, for example, I'm going to a very remote village in Tamil Nadu. Okay. And in that village, there is no bank. There is no service of the bank. On the day on which I am making you a payment in that village, in that town, as on that day, there is no service of any bank. Banks are not there only. So definitely, I cannot expect you to have a bank account because that village, that town where you are residing or where you are doing your business. See, saying that the payment should not be made to any person. Huh? The payment should be made to any person who ordinarily resides in such village or town, or who is carrying on any business in such village or town. So there is a village or town where there is no banking service, and you are a person who is residing in that village or town, or you are a person who is ordinarily doing your business in that village or town, and I'm coming to you, buying some goods from you, taking some services from you. So I will have to definitely make you the payment in that town or that village only, no? Where there is no banking service. So how can I expect that you will be having a bank account? Getting my point, everyone? So if you go to the northern part, north part of India, Himachal Pradesh, then if you go to Nagaland, Sikkim and all, eastern part of India, see there are many places out there which are, hilly areas where people stay, people reside over there, as well as they do their small businesses over there. But in those type of areas, those far away areas, there are no banks only. They operate in cash. Everything happens in the cash. Right now, everywhere you can see that scanner, QR code and everything. But this provision is not made right now. Rule 6DD is made long back, keeping this thing in mind. And right now also, there are many places where there are no banking system, there are no QR codes, nothing. So for your business, for your profession, if you are buying some goods, if you are taking some services in this village, this town, from a person who ordinarily resides there, from a person who is ordinarily doing his business over there. So to that person, how can you make the payment in prescribed modes? You cannot. Getting my point? So make the payment by any mode. It will not be disallowed. Don't worry. 43 will not be attracted. Understanding? Everyone? Very good, sir. Now, read the H part. Where the payment is made to an employee. Who are you making payment to? You are making payment to your employee or the heir of your employee. Heir means legal heir of the employee. And what type of payment you are making? You are making the payment on their retirement, on their retrenchment, on their resignation, on their discharge, on their death. Can I say These are all retirement or death benefits. So if you are an assessee, you are making the payment of retirement or death benefits to your employees on their retirement or on their death. These retirement benefits are given to their legal heirs. Don't worry, whatever payment you will make now, by whatever mode, it will be allowed, provided the amount which you are paying to the employee or their legal heirs is not more than 50,000. Now for all the payments, you will see 10,000. For transporters, you will see 35,000, and for these payments, you will see a limit of 50,000 as per rule 6DD. Getting my point? Hello, sir. Will you remember? So, tell me one thing. Are you an assessee? Yes. Your employee retiring, he is being retrenched. Okay, he is being discharged from service. He died. So, on his retirement, retrenchment, death, his discharge, whatever amount you are paying to the employee, or if he dies, whatever amount retirement benefits which you are going to pay to his legal heirs, that payment, if up to 50,000, if that payment, retirement benefits, etc., is up to 50,000 in aggregate, yes or no, then remember, you pay that amount by any mode, it will be allowed. Any mode, it will be allowed. But if that payment, retirement payments, these payments to your employees, if it is more than, if it is more than 50,000, then you have to compulsorily pay through prescribed modes. Then it will not be covered by rule 6DD. Getting my point? Should I move ahead? Hello, sir. Very good. Now, where the payment is made by an assessee by way of what? Salary. You are making a salary payment to your employee, and that salary you are paying after deducting the TDS. So can I say after tax salary you are paying? After tax means deducting the TDS and net amount of salary you are giving to your employee. So pay the salary net of TDS. Pay the salary net of TDS, and the salary which you are paying to that employee who is temporarily posted for a continuous period of 15 days or more in a place other than his normal place of duty or on a ship and does not maintain any account in any bank at such place or ship. So your employee is there. You are temporarily posting that employee to some other place. Hello, sir. Or you are sending that employee to work on ship. So now to that employee, will you pay salary? Yes. Is it your expense? Yes. Pay that salary by any mode. It will be allowed. No need to pay through prescribed mode. Pay that salary by any mode, it is allowed. But for that, remember, the payment is made after deducting TDS. Number two, the employee to whom the payment is made is not having his bank account in that place where he is temporarily posted, or on a ship he is not maintaining a bank account. He does not have any bank account in that place or on that ship where he is going to work. Then how would you give him a salary? You will have to give him salary in prescribed modes. No, other than prescribed modes. So pay him prescribed modes, pay him other than prescribed modes. 40A3 will not be attracted. Sure, sir. Next one. Last 2 points. Come on. Payment is made by any person to his agent. Are you making the payment to your agent? Yes. Who is required to make payment in cash for goods or services on behalf of such person? Oh my God. So for example, you are my agent, okay? And on my behalf, you are required to make certain payments to someone. So my agent is required to pay some amount to outsiders, others, and that payment you are supposed to pay in cash. Possible, not possible? So should I give you a check for that? Or I should give you cash only? I should give you cash only, which you are going to pay to others on my behalf, because that payment has to be made to others in cash only. on my behalf. So that payment I will only give you in what? Cash. So that is my business expense which I am incurring through my agent. Okay, my agent has to pay on my behalf is the payment I am only making, but I am not directly making that payment. I am making that payment through my agent, and agent is required to make that payment in cash. So I will make the payment to my agent in cash only. I cannot tell him no, take a check and encash it in the bank. Once it will be encashed in your bank, then withdraw the money and make the payment. Unnecessarily, it will, you know, it will be an harassment. It will be extra work for both of us. What I'll do? I'll from my bank account, I'll transfer the money in my agent's bank account. Then agent will withdraw because he cannot transfer. He does not have to make transfers, bank transfer. He has to make that payment in cash. Okay, no? For example, there are some laborers who are working on my site. Those laborers will not be having any bank accounts. So my agent who will be handling those laborers is responsible to pay them. But on my behalf, he'll be making that payment. He's not going to pay that amount from his own pocket. I will have to give that amount to my agent to pay to those laborers. Yes or no? So if I have given the amount to my agent in cash, so that my agent pays that on my behalf to someone else in cash, then that amount is allowed, no problem. Okay, next one. Made by authorized dealer, where the payment is made by authorized dealer or a money changer against purchase of foreign currency or traveler's check in the normal course of his business. His business is only to buy foreign currency and make the payment. Hello? Sell foreign currency and get the payment. Issue traveler's check and accept the traveler's check and make the payment. So if somebody is offering foreign currency to me, somebody is offering traveling checks to me, what should I do with them? Should I do a bank transfer? They are not giving me foreign exchange to get a bank transfer. They are giving me foreign exchange, they are giving me traveler's check to get what? Cash in their hands, which they are going to spend here. Many tourists will come to India, no? They will bring their foreign currency. I will change that foreign currency into Indian currency. So I will take foreign currency and I will give Indian currency. I am making the payment in cash. But that is my normal business only. How would I make that payment? Should I take his bank account? Should I transfer? Should I tell him to open a bank account in India? Cannot be happen. Practically, how it is possible for me to make those payments to these people in prescribed modes? Practically not possible. My business only is to accept these amounts and in return give them the cash. Getting my point? Because I'm an authorized dealer. I'm a money changer. In the normal course of my business, I will accept these things for traveler's check and foreign currency from the tourist, and I will have to in return give them the money, give them the cash. So whatever cash given by me is more than 10,000. It will attract 48.3. 48.3? No. This is also an exception. Got it, sir? All the exceptions we have done in immense detail, I'm telling you. Each and every exception written in Rule 6DD, you must remember. Should remember? No, you must remember. Very important. Got it? Now, done, sir. This is done. 48.3 done. 48.3a done. Rule 6. Rule 6DD is also done. Okay. Now coming to 40A7. SSE, you are an employer? Yes, sir. I am an employer. Okay, SSE. Which person you are, SSE? I am any person, sir. Okay, you are any person. Very good. So, are you an employer? SSE says, yes, sir. I am an employer. Now, SSE, what you do? SSE, usually You pay gratuity to your employees, no? Gratuity. Okay. Now, whenever you pay the gratuity, to whom you are paying that gratuity? You pay that gratuity to your employees. Okay. So, gratuity for this assessee becomes his liability. Okay, no? Gratuity is your liability, gratuity is your expense, liability, one and the same thing. Yes or no? But this gratuity liability, no, assessee, this gratuity liability is unascertained. What did I say? Is unascertained right now. You know that you have to pay the gratuity to those employees who will retire from your organization, who will leave your organization. To them, you are supposed to pay gratuity, meaning an expense is there. You know that this expense is going to be incurred, but right now or in future, expense will happen for sure, but that is not going to happen right now, that is going to happen in future. But in future, how much amount you are supposed to give, you don't know right now, no? So right now, you only know one thing, that gratuity will be your liability, gratuity will be your expense in future. That you know, that is confirmed, that gratuity will be your liability, gratuity you will have to pay in future, that you know right now. But how much you will be paying that time, how can you know right now? Can you know right now that in which year how many employees will leave, how many will take retirement, how many will take VRS compensation in the future years? Till the time the employees are not taking the retirement, till the time the employees are not leaving, till that time, how can I know, sir? Right now, I cannot know. See, at that time, to those employees, you are supposed to pay gratuity. That time, you will come to know that how much actual gratuity you are supposed to pay. That means the gratuity expense or the gratuity liability will be actually ascertained in future when those employees will be leaving. Yes or no? So that time this gratuity liability will become what? Ascertained liability. That time you will say, now I know how much I have to pay. Right now you cannot say that how much you are supposed to pay in future. Hello, sir. So tell me, right now your gratuity liability is there? Yes, liability is there. Gratuity expense you are going to incur, that you know right now? Yes. But how much you are going to know, how much you are going to give in future, that is not known right now. So right now your gratuity is an unascertained liability. So if that is an unascertained liability, which you are supposed to make the payment in future, for that you always do provision. Do you remember provisioning? Accounting, we do provisions. What are provisions? Provisions are nothing but from my current year's profit, I keep some amount aside to meet certain specific expense which I know I'm going to incur in future. But exactly how much I will be doing those expense, how much that amount will be, that I don't know. So on a rational basis, I will value that amount and keep some amount aside from my current year's profit. That is known as what? Provisioning. So will I do a provisioning for this gratuity right now? Yes or no? That provisioning for gratuity which happens, no? I do it on my own, voluntarily, without the requirement of any law. Or I will have to compulsorily do it because there was a law which required me to provide this amount or to keep aside this amount because there was some law. Do you know there is a law known as POGA? Payment of Gratuity Act tells me to compulsory give the gratuity to my employees. who have spent 5 years or more in my organization. So as per POGA, I will have to give them the gratuity whenever they will be leaving. So, but that is not sure that whether they are going to leave after 5 years or they are going to leave after 7 years. Whenever they will be leaving, that time I have to give. So that I will have to give, there is a statutory requirement on me as per the Payment of Gratuity Act. I will have to pay. So POGA tells you to keep some amount aside in a fund. Provide some amount in a fund. Contribute some amount in a fund known as gratuity fund and get it approved from us. So right now what you will do? From your current year's business profits, you will take out some amount and you will contribute, means you are providing in approved gratuity fund. Why, Because taking out some money from your current year's profits, putting in the gratuity fund will be utilized later on. Will be utilized later on to pay the gratuity to those employees who are actually retiring at that time. When your gratuity liability will be ascertained, at that time, to meet that liability, you should have enough funds. You should not at that time tell that, oh, I don't have money to pay. What should I do now? My business is not running in profits. Whatever it may be at that time, whatever your financial situation will be at that time, but you will be comfortably be able to pay them gratuity because you are already keeping some amount aside right now in gratuity fund. And you will have to keep that amount separate right now only in a separate fund, which is a gratuity fund, and you have to get that fund approved from us. Are you doing this thing on your own? Or there was a statutory requirement to provide for this unascertained gratuity right now? There was a statutory requirement, sir. And as per the statutory requirement, in the unascertained, for this unascertained gratuity, some provision is made. What is made, sir? Provision is made for unascertained gratuity. We in our terms know, in our language, we call this amount, the provision which is made, we call this amount what? Contribution. From current year's profit, I am keeping some money aside, means from my current year profit, I am contributing some amount. Yes or no? So that contribution is happening to which fund? Approved gratuity fund. AGF means, I'm not writing KGF. It is AGF. A means approved. G means gratuity. F means fund. Whatever amount from this year's business profits I will keep aside, I will contribute in the approved gratuity fund. Don't you think that this is my current year's expense? Already allowed as a deduction under section 36 subsection 1 clause 5 subject to 43B. So right now I'm keeping money aside. This money I'm not actually paying to my employee, but sooner or later this money will definitely go to my employees. I cannot use this money for my benefit. I have to give this money to my employees only in the form of gratuity. So whatever amount I am keeping aside right now, is that money going to be confirmed to be paid to my employees in future? Yes. If I don't pay this money to my employees, no, that POGA will kill me. There will be penalties, there will be fines imposed on me. Getting my point? So right now, whatever amount kept aside, income tax law, as per income tax law, whatever amount you are keeping aside, no, will be 100% used to pay gratuity in the future. There is no doubt about it. So do one thing, when you contribute, no, at that time take the deduction. Do one thing, when you contribute, whatever amount you contribute, at that time you take the deduction. We are going to allow this under section 36 subsection 1 clause 5. We are going to allow this amount, and wait, this will be allowed Subject to what? 43B. Will you remember this, sir? Now pay attention, everyone. From this year's business income, P&L is made, P&L. In the P&L debit side, contribution to employees approved gratuity fund account, 5 lakh, it is written. 5 lakh, net profit, all the expenses items, then net profit, and above net profit, this amount is given. Contribution to employees approved gratuity fund account. Is it allowed? Yes. If it is paid in this year only. Debited to P&L will not allow. Debited to P&L is my expense, is allowable under clause 5. But I have to actually contribute in this year. Or on or before the due date of filing ROI of this year, if I have actually contributed. Will it be considered as my business expense for this year? Yes. Will it be allowed as a deduction? Yes. So meaning that if I have debited, allowed means reduced from my profits. Yes or no? My profits for this year reduced by 5 lakhs by taking this deduction. Understanding? Sure. If this amount is already allowed right now, the amount which is getting contributed in approved gratuity fund is already allowed right now. Now in future, whenever the employee will retire, to my employee, am I going to pay gratuity? Am I going to pay gratuity at that time? Yes. Will it be my actual expense at that time? Actual expense of gratuity will happen at that time only, no? When I'm going to pay them. So in my future, after say for example 5 years, 2 years, 7 years, whatever, in future, whenever my employees will retire, whenever they will leave my organization, at that time, I will have to actually pay them gratuity. Hello sir, how much 4 lakhs. How much I will pay? 4 lakh. Can I say 4 lakh will my actual expense happening in that year? Actual expense of gratuity happening in that year? From where I will pay that 4 lakhs? I'm keeping aside this money here, 5 lakh rupees, which is already allowed as a deduction in this year's income. From that amount only, I'm going to pay that gratuity. Now my question is, whenever that gratuity will be ascertained in future, that gratuity will be paid out of approved gratuity fund. Hello? In that year, whatever gratuity paid is my expense of that year. But it will not be allowed as a deduction in that year. Why? Because that amount which is paid as a deduction in that year is coming out of that amount which is already allowed as a deduction right now. Right now the amount allowed? 5 lakh allowed? From that 5 lakh only, that 4 lakh is paid. No, that 4 lakh will not be treated as my expense that time. Will be disallowed. Hello sir. Just imagine if that 4 lakh is also allowed. So that 4 lakh as a part of this 5 lakh is allowed once. Now actually paid at that time it will be allowed twice. So you'll get a total benefit of 8. 4 lakh taken twice. You take it right now. At the time of making the payment, we are not going to allow you. Hello, because it is coming out of your approved gratuity fund. Whatever amount which was there in the approved gratuity fund, no, we have already given the deduction for that amount. Now later on, if this amount is utilized to pay the gratuity, that gratuity which is paid out of this amount will not be treated as your expense at that time, will be disallowed. Understanding? Now tell me, can I make the provision for a gratuity fund? Another gratuity fund? But this time the gratuity fund which I am making, no, there was no statutory obligation on me to make such gratuity fund. I am voluntarily making this gratuity fund on my own because I want to give the gratuity. The law is not telling me to give the gratuity in future, but I myself want to give the gratuity in future. So can I make a gratuity fund on my own? Yes. There was no requirement, legal requirement. Still I can make a gratuity fund on my own. And in that gratuity fund, if I am contributing right now. Now just imagine the amount which I am contributing in a gratuity fund, which was not statutorily required, which I made voluntarily for the benefit of my employees. Okay, no? This will be approved or this will be unapproved. This will be unapproved gratuity fund because it was not required. I am voluntarily creating such gratuity fund. Yes or no? So this will be approved gratuity fund or it will be unapproved gratuity fund? This will be unapproved gratuity fund. Is there any law telling me to do this? Contribute amount here and from this pay the gratuity to the employee. No law tells me to do this. I am doing it on my own voluntarily. Now just imagine if the amount contributed by me to this unapproved gratuity fund. Which fund? Unapproved gratuity fund. Whatever amount I am contributing right now out of my profits, I am contributing 5 lakhs to my unapproved gratuity fund right now. So instead of contribution to approved gratuity fund, if it is given contribution to unapproved gratuity fund, if that amount was debited, and just imagine if that amount is allowed as a deduction, not added to this year's profit, allowed as a deduction, meaning I'm already taking a deduction of 5 lakhs right now. Now later on, whenever my employees will retire, will I give them gratuity? Maybe or may not be, because there was no compulsion. What if I have created this account right now, telling the income tax department, I'm creating this account for my employees. See, I'm putting money for my employees. Okay, give me the deduction. And income tax department gave me the deduction. Now just imagine the amount which came in unapproved gratuity fund, for that I already got the deduction. What if I don't pay this amount in the future as gratuity to my employee? There will be no legal actions against me. If I want to, I will pay. If I don't want to, I will not pay. Which law tells me to give this amount of unapproved gratuity fund to my employees? No law in India tells me. So I will not pay. Is any gratuity paid out of this amount? But you took the deduction of this amount right now, saying that, see, I'm putting money in the fund for my employees, which I will pay. Wait, right now you're putting only, no? Have you actually paid? No, no. What if you don't pay in the future? Do one thing. Right now you don't claim, we will not allow. Right now it is disallowed because the fund was unapproved. And from that fund, there is no statutory requirement to actually pay the gratuity. And if we allow this amount right now to you, you will definitely not pay that amount to the employees. Mother swear I will pay. Mother swear. Seriously, I will pay. You will pay, no? You are a good person. Whenever you will pay, no? That time your gratuity expense we will allow. Out of this, whatever gratuity will be paid, your actual expense, no? That we will allow. Because that amount of gratuity will be paid out of this amount which is not allowed right now. So you will contribute, we will not allow, we will add back to your profit. If you have reduced, we will add back to your profit, meaning this amount should not be allowed as a deduction right now. So any contribution to unapproved gratuity fund will be completely disallowed fully in the year in which it is contributed. Yes or no? And this is given under section 40A(7). As per 40A(7), this will be disallowed. Sure or no? Now wait, in future when my employee will retire, no, do I have money to pay them gratuity in my fund? So from my unapproved gratuity fund, I will withdraw money and I will pay as gratuity. That time whatever gratuity is paid, no, is from that amount which is not allowed right now. So the amount which is disallowed right now, which is not allowed right now, from that amount in the future, the gratuity will be paid. That gratuity will be my actual expense for that year, will be allowed as a deduction in that year. Getting my point or not? Wait. Forget about these two things now. Forget about these two things right now. Are you liable to create approved gratuity fund account? No, you are not liable. Have you made unapproved gratuity fund? No, you have not created an unapproved gratuity fund also. So meaning that right now, no amount contributed by you, neither in approved gratuity fund nor in unapproved gratuity fund. Are you contributing any amount right now in approved gratuity fund? No, you have not created an approved gratuity fund because there was no legal requirement. So you might have created unapproved gratuity. No, you have not created unapproved gratuity fund also. So right now, from your current year's profits, are you keeping some amount aside in a fund to pay gratuity in future? No, because there is no fund which is maintained by you right now. Getting my point? But in future, no, whenever your employee retires, you pay them gratuity. So that gratuity you will pay from which amount? From a fund which you have been maintaining? No, there is no fund maintained. But in that year, in future, whenever you will give the gratuity to your employee, so from where that gratuity you will pay? From that year's profits only. Because there is no fund approved or unapproved. Hello sir, there is no fund approved or unapproved which is made for the payment of that gratuity in future. So definitely the gratuity which you are going to pay in the future will be out of futures, that year's profit only, no? Out of that year's business income, you are paying gratuity to your employee in that year. Isn't it your business expense for that year? Yes, 37(1). Claim it as a deduction. Done. Understanding? So that will happen only if the gratuity will be ascertained. So gratuity liability in future, when it will be ascertained, that time it will be actual payment will be made. Actual payment of gratuity will be made that time. And that actual payment that time will be made from either AGF or UAGF, or it will be made from profit and loss, that year's profits, profit of that previous year in which it is ascertained. Yes or no? So tell me, if the gratuity which you are paying in future from approved gratuity fund account, what will you do with this gratuity which you are paying in future out of approved gratuity fund? Disallow that gratuity. That gratuity will not be allowed. Why? Already gave you the reason. Amount contributed in approved gratuity fund, you are getting the deduction, no? Now that you are paying in the form of gratuity will not be allowed again. Disallow that time. Got it, sir? Now do one thing. Tell me about this. Amount in future you are paying from your unapproved gratuity fund. That will come from your unapproved gratuity fund only. So when you are contributing in unapproved gratuity fund, that time the amount is not allowed. Now that amount is paid in the future in the form of what? Gratuity. That is your actual expense of that year. Claim it as a deduction. That year only. Yes or no? So that will be allowed. That will be allowed in that year. Now what if in future you are paying gratuity but no fund you maintained? Neither approved gratuity fund nor unapproved gratuity fund. So that gratuity in future you are going to pay from your that year's profit only. Hello? So that will also be allowed as expense of that year. Will you remember this? Sure. 40A7 done. Now if you read that part, no, few things you will understand. Few things, not all. But if you read that part second time or third time, this entire concept will stick in your mind. Right now also this is done in such a way, no, now you are not going to forget it. At least till your exams. I don't, I don't talk about your future. If you remember this thing for your future, then that is very good. But at least till exams, you will not forget this. Will you? Forget? No, forget. Please. You will come to know. Should I move ahead? 40A subsection 7 done. Now we are going to the last part, 40A9. 40A9 says that this is an assessee. He can be any person. Now this assessee is making contribution to any staff welfare fund or scheme. Contribution to any staff welfare fund or scheme which was a non-statutory fund. Non-statutory fund or scheme. So whatever amount of contribution, full amount of such contribution, disallowed under section 40A9, because the fund was a non-statutory fund. No law required you to make such kind of fund and contribute money there. Then why are you making such fund? And why are you contributing in such funds? Just because this is a staff welfare fund, this is a staff welfare scheme, and the amount which you are using in that scheme, you are putting in that scheme or that fund, what is the guarantee that the amount which you are telling us that, see, we are contributing in our employees fund, we are contributing in our employee scheme, please give us the deduction. What if we allow you the deduction for this amount right now only? What will happen? You will try to claim this amount as a deduction. We will allow you also the deduction, but later on definitely you are not going to use this amount for the benefit of your employees. Just like the way in which we discussed about unapproved gratuity fund. Can happen for other funds or schemes also, no? So any fund, any scheme which was made for the welfare of the staff, meaning PF is there, ESIC is there, yes or no? Many funds. But there are certain funds or schemes which are required to be maintained by the employer as per a statutory requirement. There is a law which tells you to do this, and you are doing, then there is no problem. But if there is no law telling you to contribute these amounts, hello, then why are you creating such funds? Why are you creating such schemes? Why are you contributing the amount here on the name of your employee? We will tell you why. Right now, no, your profits are huge and you don't want to pay tax on these huge profits. So what you will do? You will take the name of your employees. You will come to us, you will tell us, see, I have made one specific fund or scheme for the benefit of my employee. Out of my current year's profit, I am contributing that. So this amount is for the benefit of my employees. I am contributing or I am keeping aside. You are just contributing, bloody. You are just keeping that profit of current year aside in a fund. What is the statutory requirement for you to spend that fund for your employees? Is there any law telling you to use that fund? No. So if you will come to us, take the deduction of this amount and you will go away, and then that same amount which we have allowed you, thinking that it will be used for the employee, will not be used. Hello? Meaning that you have taken the deduction from us by lying to us, no? So do one thing. Whenever in future, no, you will utilize this amount for the benefit of your employees, no, that will be at that time actual expense on your employee. That will be allowed as a deduction. That actual expense will be happening out of this amount, which is not allowed right now. Or that actual expense can happen from that year profits also. Yes or no? So any amount of actual expenses incurred on your employee, hello, that we will allow you as a deduction, even if coming from this amount. Why? Because the amount which you are contributing right now in these non-statutory funds, no, these are not treated as your current year's business expense. This will not be allowed as a deduction. Where it is written 40A 9 says that whatever amount contributed to such non-statutory funds out of current year's profit will not be allowed as a deduction, will be disallowed. If you have reduced, add it back. If you have not reduced, don't dare to reduce it also, because it is not allowed. In future, whenever you will spend money out of this, whenever you will spend money out of this for the benefit of your employee, at that time, will it be your actual employee cost? Yes. That time, in that year's income, you claim that amount as a deduction which you have actually spent, even if from this amount or from that year's profit, will not make any difference. But right now, we are not going to give you the deduction for this contribution which you are making. Hello. So can you contribute in any statutory fund or scheme of your employees? Yes. That fund or scheme was a statutory fund or scheme. Will that be amount? Will that amount be allowed? The answer is yes, allowed, but only to the extent specified by that statute. Only to the extent which that law tells you to contribute. If the law tells you to contribute 14% of your employee's salary to his NPS account, then why are you contributing more? Contribute only 14%, no? So to the extent of 14% we are going to allow under clause 4A. But any excess amount, NPS is statutory fund of the central government. Hello? Any excess amount you will contribute over there, was it statutorily required by you to contribute over there? No. Then why are you contributing that excess? That excess also we will disallow under this section, even if it is in the statutory fund. Yes or no? So any statutory fund or scheme for the benefit of my employee, there any amount contributed, and that amount contributed is up to the statutory requirement, then whatever amount is up to the statutory requirement will be allowed. But whatever amount which is contributed is more than the statutory requirement, then what will happen? What will happen? Up to statutory requirement, the amount will be allowed, and any excess amount which is over and above that statutory amount will be disallowed. Done. 40A9 over. Now you have completed all the disallowances. Only one small disallowance is remaining, and that is 43B. But that is not that small. There are few discussions which are required to be done in 43B. Getting my point, friends? So that 43B discussion I'm going to do with you. Don't worry about that. Okay. But have you understood this much? Whatever we have discussed till 40A9. Okay. Now, if we are coming to 43B, this discussion we are going to do now. There are certain expenses which are written here. You already know. C, T, B, I, L, R. And there is one more expense which I am going to just now explain. But first of all, C for, T for, B, I, L, R. C for contribution to RPF account or ASAF account or approved gratuity fund account of the employees. Okay, so I am contributing to my employees these funds. T for taxes, duties, cess, fees, etc. payable to government. B for bonus and commission. I for interest on business loans. Wait, interest on business loans, and this interest on business loan is to be given to public financial institution, state finance corporation, state industrial investment corporation, any scheduled or cooperative bank or banking NBFC. L for leave salary. R for railway assets used by assessee, and for this use payment is to be made by the assessee. Yes or no? So these are CTBILR. All these expenses, no, you might have seen somewhere. We have already covered all these expenses in our earlier sections. See, contributions allowed under 3614, 3615. T for taxes, duties, cess, etc., which are related to my business or profession, like GST is there, customs duty is there. Hello. Then professional tax, employment tax. Those are all those taxes which are related to my business or profession. No section specifies. So general deduction 37(1). Then B for bonus or commission 36 subsection 1 clause 2. Then interest on business loan 36 subsection 1 clause 3. Then leave salary, no section specifies. General deduction 37(1). Payment for use of railway assets depends that what type of asset belonging to railway you are using. If it is a building, so payment for use of building is rent of building, section 30. Payment for use of any other asset of railways, then that payment will be allowed as a deduction under 37(1), general deduction. Getting my point? Now all these deductions you are supposed to get under the PGBP head, meaning that these are the expenses allowable under the head PGBP. They are allowable. You can take the deduction, but they are allowable only on what basis? Payment basis, even if assessee maintains books of accounts on mercantile basis. Mercantile basis. So if you are following mercantile basis of accounting, all the expenses, all the incomes on due basis you are supposed to take. Yes or no? So take all the expenses, deduction for all the expenses on what basis? Due basis. But these expenses will not be allowed on due basis, even if you are following mercantile system, they will be allowed only on payment basis. Meaning that CTBILR, these expenses must be paid during the previous year itself or on or before the due date of filing ROI of that previous year. So the year for which the expense was there, you have to make the payment in that same year, or on or before the due date of filing ROI of that previous year. You have to make the payment of these expenses. Only then these expenses for this year will be allowed as a deduction out of this year's income. But if there is a default, in this structure, what type of default, sir? Default is such expenses, means CTBILR, not paid till the due date of filing ROI of that previous year. Now, if this default happens, guys, then 43B will be attracted. And as per 43B, such expense shall be disallowed in that previous year. Meaning, it will not be allowed as a deduction out of that year's PGBP income. That's it. 43B over. But wait, they are saying, however, such expenses shall be allowed as a deduction in that previous year later on in that previous year in which actually paid. Done. So for these expenses, we are supposed to follow whatever it is. Okay. This is something which we already know, na? We have already done this. Okay. Now one more expense they have covered from last to last year. Last to last year means, sorry, last year meaning Finance Act 2023. This is Finance Act 24 which we are doing. Amendments of Finance Act 24. But one amendment came in this section in the last year. Prior to that, the section looked like this. Over. But last year one amendment came and they introduced a new point. See, this is CET, BILR. I have sent you all these notes. Okay, no? Next one. Can you see Finance Act 23 amendment? Last year one amendment came. And one more payment, one more expense got added to 43B list. And that is if you are an assessee, you are incurring any expenditure now, any expenditure. Now the expenditure is not specified. Now they are saying any expenditure which you are incurring for your business or profession, and the payment for that expenditure is to be made to a micro or small enterprise. Micro, small, medium, no. Micro or small enterprise. Sir, what is this micro enterprise? What is this small enterprise? MSMED Act 2006. As per this law, there are certain enterprises, business entities, which are known as micro enterprises. There are certain business entities which are known as small enterprises. There are certain business entities which are known as medium enterprises. For the development of these type of enterprises, one law is made in India to safeguard them, to safeguard their interest. Because see, the environment of doing the business in India, okay, many large companies are there, huge companies are there. They take the wrong advantage sometimes when it comes to micro, small and medium enterprises. Okay, so to make them payment to them, not just the large enterprises, but majority large enterprises take huge advantage of these small enterprises. It's very difficult in India to have a micro or small or medium enterprise and grow it, because there is always liquidity crunch. And if you will see in India, majority of the businesses, no, majority of the business, more than 95% businesses are done under this category only, micro, small and medium enterprise category. See, if I am doing this profession, no, of teaching, I am a micro enterprise. I am a micro enterprise. Myself, this proprietary concern which I am having right now, this structure, this setup, myself I can call a micro enterprise. Why? The reason is, number one, my turnover does not exceed 5 crores. And two, the plant, machinery and equipments which I have set up for my business, the total cost of that does not exceed 1 crore. So I am a micro enterprise. For example, me and my friend, we both are doing a partnership business. So that partnership business can be a micro enterprise, provided in that partnership business, whatever turnover is there does not exceed 5 crore. As well as the plant, machinery or equipment used in the business of that plant partnership firm is not more than 1 crore. Total investment in plant and machinery is not more than 1 crore. So that partnership firm, where me and my friend, we both are doing a business, that partnership firm is a micro enterprise. So who is a micro enterprise? Micro enterprise is an enterprise where the total investment in plant, machinery and equipment does not exceed 1 crore. As well as the turnover of that enterprise does not exceed 5 crore. Then that enterprise, that entity is known as micro enterprise. Put 10 after 1, after 5, put 110. If the turnover does not exceed 50, turnover exceeds 5, but it does not exceed 50. As well as the investment in plant and machinery exceeds 1, but it does not exceed 10 crores. Then that enterprise is known as small enterprise. Medium is also defined, but we are not concerned about medium. We are concerned about only these two enterprises. Out of all the MSMED enterprises, no, MSME enterprises, out of all, this is the major chunk. Medium are also very less, but this is the major chunk. So for the development of these type of enterprises, micro should become small, small should grow and it becomes what? Medium, medium should become large. So for their growth, their development, one law is made in India. That law is known as MSMED Act. Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006. Now, we knew that this is a micro or small enterprise. So, I am an assessee. I am buying some goods or taking some services from this micro or small enterprise. For my business or profession, I am taking some goods or services from this micro or small enterprise. Is it my business expense? Yes. For my business, for my profession, if any goods I buy from them or any services I take from them, that is my business expense. Now, if I don't pay for those expenses on time to them, within a short time to them, how they will be able to grow? There will be liquidity crunch to them. These type of enterprises are suppressed like anything. People don't pay them money. People pay them money after 4 months, 5 months, 6 months sometimes. Bad debts are there. So these type of enterprises don't grow. They're always stuck in their financial crunches. When they will be growing, when their development will happen, if they get their money for their goods or services which they are supplying, if they get their money on time to time basis, and within a very short span of time, if they get their money, so they can roll that money in their business, grow their businesses. From micro, they will soon become small. From small, they will soon become medium. Likewise, getting my point? So for that development, if a law is made, and in that law, it is mentioned that if there is an SSE taking goods or services for the purpose of business or profession from these type of enterprises and not paying them on time and claiming these expenses as business expenses as deduction. Wow. I am following mercantile system of accounting. Following mercantile system of accounting, this expense was for this year and I am claiming the deduction. Deduction is also allowed. And they are not paid on time. And that is ultimately hampering these type of enterprises. And on top of that, what is happening? On top of that, these type of enterprises are not growing also. Their survival is, in trouble. Plus, what is the use of making that law, MSMED law, for the benefit of them? MSMED law says that they should be paid within a certain period of time. Even if they are not paid as per the requirement of MSMED Act, still Income Tax Act gives the deduction for these expenses. Getting my point? So the entire purpose of making this MSMED law becomes defeated. That in MSMED law it is said no, that we should make the payment within this time. Okay, we will face the penalty, we will face the fines, we will face the consequences happening under MSMED Act, but still the expense is allowed under Income Tax Act. So the entire purpose of making that law was getting defeated, and also these enterprises were not growing. So why are you making such laws which people are not following? Okay, just showing that we are doing something for MSMED, and ultimately for our betterment, whatever law you have made, if people are not following, so what benefit we are getting? We are not surviving only. We don't get money from our customers on time. See, if a very small enterprise is there, this small enterprise is supplying goods to Reliance. Reliance is a big client for them. Now Reliance will dictate their terms. Within this much time, we will get the money. You have to offer this much credit to us. Okay. And these poor enterprises, they will have to, have to be under their mercy. Because that is a large enterprise giving me such big orders. So we have to always follow. If we don't follow, what they will do? They have other micro or small enterprises from where they can anyways go and buy. But we are not going to get this much big client for us. So this situation of a large enterprise having a mercy over these small enterprises was exploited very badly by large enterprises who used to buy goods or services worth thousands and lakhs from these enterprises. For them, that might be a small amount, but for them, it is a very big amount. And if they are not getting those money on time, rolling is not there in their business, ultimately they are suffering. And MSMED Act, we have made, there is no benefit of making such law. So 2006, this law was made. When? 2006. Just imagine, last year only this amendment has come. This amendment should have come long back. But the government was, was not listening to anything, was not seeing anything. But now there was a lot of pressure. Because see, our Indian economy will grow when these will grow. Because they constitute major part of the business happening in India. And they are being ignored. Our focus is ultimately on the large enterprise who contribute only 10 to 15% of the total of such organization. If these organizations are treated properly in India, just imagine one or two also unicorn will come out of this, no? Our economy, there will be a huge economic boost. So we should do something for this. Just imagine that how the government is also thinking from their side. Getting my point? So now what will happen? See, 43B, an amendment came. In 43B, what they said that okay, if there is a micro or small enterprise, no, from that micro or small enterprise, you are buying any goods or services, meaning that is your expense which you are incurring for your business or profession. Now, for this expense, you are supposed to make the payment also. For this expense, you are supposed to make the payment to these micro and small enterprises. This year's expense, you should make the payment in this year. Or on or before the due date of filing your ROI? No. Then also the entire purpose of MSMED Act will be defeated, no? Because MSMED Act has prescribed one deadline, prescribed one time within which these enterprises should be paid. And maybe that time is coming sooner than the due date of filing ROI. So they should be paid on or before that time only, which the MSMED Act says, no? So MSMED Act says under section 15 of MSMED Act, which says that if you are having an agreement, assessee, you are having an agreement with micro and small enterprise, and if there is a time prescribed in the agreement in writing should be there, and if there is a time prescribed in that agreement to make that payment, within that time compulsory the payment should happen. Section 15 of MSMED Act says that if you have an agreement with the micro or small enterprise for supply of goods, for supply of services by them, and in that agreement, in writing, if it is written that for those goods or for those services which they are giving you, you have to pay them within the time which is prescribed in that written agreement, then that time has to be followed anyhow. Pay within that time which is given in that agreement. But wait, that time which is given in that agreement in writing cannot be more than 45 days, MSMED requirement. So that the small enterprises are not exploited by big enterprises. Otherwise, the big enterprise will say that, okay, we are going to do a agreement with you. But in that agreement, write 90 days, write 120 days. After that, we are going to give, within that time, we are going to give you the payment. No. Agreement should specify a period, but that period should not be more than 45 days. Okay. So if between you and the MSME, micro and small enterprise, if between you and these enterprises, there is an agreement. In that agreement, whatever time is specified time, which cannot be more than 45 days. Within that time, the payment should happen. But sometimes, no, there are some micro or small enterprises with them. You just buy the goods and services. You don't enter into any agreement because it is only one time affair. No, once or twice you are going to buy. So for buying once or twice, why are you going to get into an agreement stuff? So there will be no agreement in writing for buying goods or services from them. So if there is no agreement, then they must be paid within 15 days. Within 15 days. Now within the time specified, which cannot be more than 45 days, within 15 days, if there is no agreement, so these number of days has to be counted from which date? From the date on which they have supplied your goods. From the date on which they have given you services. From that date till the time prescribed in the agreement, which cannot be more than 45 days. From that date till 15 days. Within that time, the payment should happen. This is given as per section 15 of MSMED Act. Now tell me, if the MSMED Act has specified such a small time limit, and if this expense is covered in 43B, and if we say that the payment should be happening within the year, then allowed. Not within the year, okay. Pay on or before the due date of filing your ROI, then also allowed. Just imagine if any goods are bought from them on 31st March and maximum time is 45 days. So the last date for payment should be 15th May only, as per MSMED Act. And if 43B says that no, pay on or before the due date of filing ROI, then there is still a delay and they will get the money. Then they will get the deduction. Even if there is a delay beyond 45 days, but the payment is made on or before the due date, no, of filing my ROI, which can be 31st July also, which can be 31st October also, which can be 30th November also. Just imagine, it cannot be beyond 15th May and you are stretching till 31st July. You are stretching till 31st October or 30th November in some cases. Because that is the due date of filing ROI for assessees. Are they ever going to get that money on time prescribed in MSMED Act? No, never. Because even if they are not getting their money within that prescribed time of MSMED law, still the assessee used to get the deduction because they used to make the payment on or before the due date. Or even if I miss that due date, no, I will pay later. So for this expense, no, making the payment on or before the due date will be a more delay. And that delay will be promoted by the Income Tax Act only by saying that, okay, no problem, we will allow if it is paid on or before the due date of filing ROI. No. Due date is not to be seen here. Their payment should go to them within the same year or on or before the due date specified in MSMED Act. And what is the due date specified? Writing agreement is there. So the time specified in the agreement, which cannot be more than 45 days. And if there is no agreement, then within 15 days. See, those expenses which were incurred during the year and for that payment also made in that same year, no, there will be no problem. But now there will be problem for those expenses which are happening in the last month, March, etc. So what this says, that the payment should be made within the time limit, but if beyond the time limit specified under section 15, if the payment is made beyond the time limit specified under section 15, then would be allowed as a deduction only in that previous year in which such payment is actually made. It will not be allowed in this year. So if you want to claim in this year, pay in this year or on or before the time prescribed in section 15. Okay. But if within that time specified in section 15, within that time, if the payment is not made, then 43B will be attracted. This payment will be disallowed. And this payment will be allowed in that previous year in which it is actually made. We will not allow in this year. 43B will disallow. Even if the payment is made on or before the due date of filing ROI. Even if the payment is made on or before the due date of filing ROI, but since the time limit prescribed in section 15 is gone, now this expense will also be disallowed. Understanding? We'll take one or two examples, you'll understand better. So, any expense for the purpose of your business or profession, for that payment is to be made to micro or small enterprise, and that payment is made beyond the time limit, not within the time limit. The payment is made beyond the time limit specified under section 15 of MSMED Act. Then that payment which is made beyond the time limit, that entire payment will be disallowed as per 43B, but it will be allowed only in that previous year in which it is actually paid. Now we are not going to see what method of accounting you are following. Even if you are following mercantile system of accounting, hello, it will be allowed in the year in which it is actually paid. That's it. If time limit falls in, payment is for this year, time limit falls in this year, you pay within the time limit. Allowed in this year. payment for this year, time limit falls in this year, you make the payment in this year, but after the time limit. Still it is allowed in this year only. Payment for this year, time limit also falls in this year. You are paying beyond time limit, but not in this year. Next year. This year it will not be allowed. Even if you are following mercantile system of accounting. Next year paid, no? Next year it will be allowed. Hello? Payment for this year. Time limit last day falls in the next year. Time limit. Last day of the time limit falls in the next year. You make the payment in this year. Allowed in this year. You make the payment in next year, but within the time limit. Still it will be allowed. Getting my point? Hello, sir. But payment for this year, time limit, last day to pay falls in the next year. You pay on or before that day, then no problem, no disallowance, it will be allowed. But if you don't pay on or before that day, then even if you follow mercantile system of accounting, it will not be allowed as a deduction in this year. You are paying beyond the due date, beyond the time limit. So when you are paying next year, after the time limit, yes, claim it as a deduction in the next year. This year it will be disallowed. Now to understand, we'll take few examples. Okay, no, whatever I have said, we'll take some examples. See, this is the time limit for making the payment under section 15. On or before the agreed date as per the agreement, which cannot be more than 45 days from the date of acceptance of goods or services. If there is an agreement. If there is no agreement, then within 15 days from the date of acceptance of goods or services, if no agreement in writing is there. This is the time limit, which I have already told you. Next one. If the payment is made within above time limits. If the payment is made within above time limits, then the deduction can be availed on mercantile basis followed by the assessee. If you are following mercantile basis, claim the deduction on mercantile basis. Even if the payment is made in the next year. Still it will be allowed in this year because the payment is made within the time limit which falls in the next year. I will give you the example with numbers, with dates I will give you the example. But right now, whatever I am speaking, are you understanding a little? Little you are understanding, no? We'll understand it fully. Let me give one or two examples, okay? But right now, whatever we have studied, no, whatever I have spoken in front of you, it is written. We are just going through, okay? Next one, if the payment is not made within the above time limit, then the deduction shall be available in that previous year in which the payment is actually made. Now let's take this example. This will clarify everything. See, same year payment, same year time limit is getting over. So whether you pay within that time limit in that year or after the time limit in that year, payment is made in that year only, no? Payment for 24-25. Hello, come on. Payment for which year? 24-25. Payment for 24-25. Meaning that you bought goods. Let's take date only, no? Wait. Let's take the date only. Payment for 24-25 means you bought the good on 1st of May 2024. You are an assessee, okay? You bought the goods on 1st May 2024, meaning the payment is for 24-25, expense is for 24-25 because the goods are purchased in 24-25. Now, there was a written agreement. So, there was some period specified in the written agreement. 30 days from the date of purchase. Come on. 30 days from the date of purchase will be 1st May till 30 days. 30th May is the last day. And that agreement period can be 30 days also. It can be 25 days also. It can be 20, but it cannot be more than 45 days. So let's take 30 days only. Okay. 30 days. So can I say 1st May 2025? What did I say? 1st May 2025. Okay. This is the goods or service which you are buying in this on this date. Meaning the expense is for this year. Payment is for this year. Now this payment has to be made last date for payment. If there was agreement, so this date will be written in the agreement only. And this date can be identified from the period given in the agreement only. Okay, no? So let's say the last date for payment was 31st May. Okay, 31st May 2024. So this date is also falling in the same previous year 24-25. Okay. Now actual payment. Actual payment. You have to now see that when the payment is actually being made. Is the payment made within the time prescribed? That is on or before 31st May? Or the payment is made after the time prescribed? Getting my point? Sure, everyone? So this time the payment is made on 3 cases. Okay. 20th May 2024. Same previous year, no? Same previous year, no? Meaning previous year 24-25. You have paid within the time? Yes. And you have paid within the same year? Yes. So the expense will be allowed. Hello. Expense will be allowed. No disallowance. Got it, sir? In that same second case, the payment is made on 20th of June 2024. But still the payment is made in 24-25, no? Tell me yes or no. Now, will this payment be allowed in this year? After the time limit the payment is made. So 43B says disallowed. Okay, disallowed. Will be allowed in that year in which it is actually paid. So which year it is paid? This year only, no? So will be allowed in this year. Getting my point? Hello, sir. So this year only you take the deduction, because even if you missed the last date of payment, but still the payment is made in this year only, no? Now tell me, if the payment is done on 9th of May 2025, meaning previous year 24-25, possible or not? 9th May 24, no, 9th May 25. Next year payment made. First of all, is the payment made within the prescribed time? No. 43B says it will be disallowed. Disallowed. When it is actually paid? 25-26, no? That time it will be allowed. So here there will be a disallowance by 43B. Meaning this cannot be claimed in 24-25. Rather, the year in which it is paid. This is not 24-25, this is 25-26. My mistake. I have written wrong. This is 25-26. 9th May 25 means 25-26. Okay, no? So, tell me, 43B applied. 43B applied, meaning, sir? Meaning, the payment was for 24-25. Expense was for 24-25. And in 24-25, you are following mercantile system of accounting. So the expense is for 24-25. Can you take the deduction for this expense under 24-25? No. 43B will be attracted. Why? Because you have missed the last date of payment. Hello, sir. Even if you would have paid in that same year, no, still it would have been allowed on payment basis. But you did not pay in that same year also. When did you pay? Next year. So this year 43B attracted, but it could not be reversed in this year because this year the payment was not made. And it will be reversed in the next year now. But this year 43B will be attracted. Okay, no? It will be reversed in the next year because the payment is actually made in the next year. So tell me, now 23-24, the payment will not be allowed. 43B says that it will be disallowed in 24-25 and it will be allowed in the previous year 25-26. In that year it will be allowed. Everyone understood this much? See, this becomes a little bit easy. Okay, no? Now, another example if I'll take, for example, 30th March 2025. So this is still your previous year 24-25. You purchased the goods as on this date. Goods were accepted by you on this date. Services were accepted by you on this date. So from this date, you are supposed to count the period of MSMED, section 15 period. So now say, example, here also they are going to give you 30 days. 30 days meaning 30th April, till 30th April make the payment. So from this date, there was an agreement, and as per the agreement, you have to pay on or before 30th of April 2025, which comes in the previous year 25-26. Now there will be two possibilities here. Two possibilities. Not two. We'll take 3-4 possibilities. Okay. In this same thing. What if you have made the payment on same day? 30th March 25. Same date. You bought and you made the payment. 24-25 only you made the payment. Will it be allowed in 24-25? Yes. Same year it will be allowed. No disallowance. Okay. Now tell me. Can you pay on 15th of April 2025, meaning previous year 25-26 you are making the payment? When it will be allowed? Will it be allowed in 24-25? Will there be any disallowance? No. You can claim the expense on mercantile basis. Even if the payment is made in the next year, this expense will be allowed in this year only on mercantile basis. Claim. Why? Because you have made the payment within the time allowed. Can you see this? So you can claim this amount as a deduction. Hello? In this year itself, there will be no disallowance. There will be no 43B. Now, what if you are making the payment on 19th of June 2025, meaning now you are making the payment on 25-26. Tell me, what will happen? Will there be 43B attracted? Yes. Now the payment cannot be claimed as deduction in 24-25. On what basis? Mercantile basis. No. Because the payment is not happening within the given time, which was till 30th of April. Till 30th of April you were till 30th of April you were supposed to make the payment. Did you pay till 30th of April? No. You are making the payment beyond the date given in section 15. So 43B will be attracted. The expense will not be allowed as a deduction for this year on mercantile basis. Yes or no? Now we are supposed to claim this expense in that year in which it is actually paid. When it is actually paid? Next year. So claim it as a deduction in previous year 25-26. In that year it will be allowed. Will you be able to identify these cases and give the answers properly? Sure? Okay. Don't put me down in the exams, huh? See, this example which I have written here, no, is the same example which I had copied from ICA Study Mat. ICA Study Mat example is there. But I have just twisted a date. If I am not wrong. No, dates also I have taken the same. Dates also I have taken the same. And we have taken better examples as compared to this. We'll see. I will do one thing. I will just change these dates. First, March 2025. This is 5th April 2025, because this example I made in the last year, no? So the dates are for last year. We are studying in this year. So accordingly, I'm changing the date one year ahead. Okay, no? This is 3rd April. I'm keeping the same date, but I'm increasing 1 year. Read this. Mr. A purchased goods of rupees 25,000 from XY and Company, micro or small enterprise. XY and Company is a micro or small enterprise. From that micro small enterprise, Mr. A is purchasing. So tell me, who is the assessee? Assessee is Mr. A. He is purchasing from a micro and small enterprise and the purchase value is 25,000. Very good. And he is purchasing in the last year. In the last year, no, in my previous year only, 1st March 2025, meaning in the previous year 24-25, he's purchasing. So the expense is for 24-25. I'm following mercantile system. I will try to claim this as a deduction on mercantile basis in this year only. Provided, it will be allowed in this year, provided it is paid in this year till 31st March. Or if the time limit falls in the next year, so it is paid on or before that time limit also, then also it will be allowed in this year. Getting my point? But if the time limit which falls in the next year or time limit can fall in this year also, I'm not following time limit, I'm paying beyond time limit. So beyond time limit when I'm paying? Next year, no. So this year it will not be allowed. Whenever it is paid, that time it will be allowed. Sure. So see, as per the agreement between them, the payment has to be made by 5th of April 25. Now from 1st of March 25 to 5th of April 25, this is the period fixed in the agreement. And if you'll count now from here to here, the number of days is not more than 45 also. Check. 1st March till 31st March. How many days? 31 days. And 5 days extra. 36 days. So total period allowed in the agreement is 36, which is less than 45 only, no? Sure. Now tell me. If the payment is made on 3rd April, meaning payment is made before 5th April. So will that amount of 25,000 be allowed in 24-25 itself? Yes, it will be allowed in the 24-25 only. No disallowance under 43B will be attracted. Done, no? Now tell me, if the payment is made on 20th of April, meaning after 5th April, the payment is made. This year, 43B will be attracted. Payment will not be allowed. 25,000 will not be allowed in this year. It will be allowed in the year in which it is actually paid. What? 25, 26. So it will be allowed in 25, 26. Will you remember this? Very difficult, no? Actually, it is difficult. Made easy. Say thank you. Okay. Now, the last part, deemed PGBP incomes. But before that, 2 or 3 important discussions we are supposed to do in 43B. 43B is over, but 2-3 important points which we are going to discuss. Okay. First point is, you are an assessee, you took a loan for your business or profession from specified lenders. Do you remember specified lenders? PFI, SFC, SIIC, they are specified lenders. So to these specified lenders on this loan, you are supposed to pay interest. And you have not paid them interest since past few years. For example, last 3 years interest you have not paid to these specified lenders. Tell me, were you able to claim deduction of that interest in the last 3 years? No. Any interest on business loan payable to these specified lenders actually paid only then allowed. Otherwise disallowed as per 43B. Do you remember that? So, last 3 years, the interest is not paid only. First year interest was not paid in that year or the return filing due date of that year. So first year interest disallowed, 43B. Second year interest not paid in second year and not paid on or before the due date of filing ROI of second year. Even that was not allowed. Third year interest was not paid in that third year or the due date of filing ROI of third year. So in that third year also, the interest was disallowed. So last 3 years interest 2 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs. Sorry, 2 lakhs, 1 lakh 50 and 1 lakh. 2 lakh, 1 lakh 50 and 1 lakh. 350 and 1 lakh. 4 lakh 50 interest which belongs to last 3 years. I could not claim that interest in those years. In those years, this entire 4 lakh 50 interest which belongs to the last 3 years was disallowed as per 43B. Why? Because actual payment was not made. So past few years, meaning last 3 years in our example, interest is still payable. Meaning it was not actually paid. It is still payable. So definitely same is not yet allowed. All that entire interest was not allowed. There is a condition. If it is not paid on or before the due date of filing ROI of that year, then as per 43B it will be disallowed. But later on when this interest will be actually paid, that time it will be allowed, no? So what I am doing, all these 3 years interest I am paying in 24-25. Will it be allowed in 24-25? Yes. Because I am actually making the payment of those 3 years interest in this year. So all the entire interest 4 lakh 50, if I pay in this year, if I actually pay in this year, it will be allowed to me as a deduction in 24-25. Because that time it was not allowed, 43B disallowed. So now I am paying, I will take the deduction. Understanding, no? But wait, in 24-25, no? What is happening? That I am going to these lenders, telling them, see, my financial situation is very bad. The loan which I took from you, that loan I am not able to repay. And you can see that the last 3 years interest also I have not paid you. Okay. So I request you to reschedule my loan. What? Reschedule my loan, meaning that the loan which you gave for 5 years, please make it for 7 years or 10 years. Or the rate of interest which was there on the loan, which was 10%, please reduce that rate also. So that if you reschedule that loan, no, so yearly interest or the periodical interest which I am not able to pay will come down and maybe I'll be able to pay now. Yes or no? So that rescheduling will happen. Now at the time of rescheduling, no, bank will ask you that, okay, your main loan which you have taken on that interest was 4 lakh 50. Yes or no? The main loan which you took on that interest was 4 lakh 50. Forget about this 450 right now. We are rescheduling this main loan. You were given this loan for how many years? 5 years now? Make it 10 years, okay? Within 10 years you pay. At what rate this loan was given? Okay, this was given at 12%. Okay, we are reducing the rate, make it at 10%. The original loan got rescheduled. But at that time, the bank asked you, okay, we have rescheduled the loan now. How would you like to pay this 4 lakh 50 interest of last 3 years? All this discussion is happening in 24-25. In 24-25, your loan got rescheduled. Now in 24-25, the bank is asking you that what will you do about that 4 lakh 50,000 of interest of the last 3 years? Are you going to pay it to us right now? Assessee will say, I don't have the money to pay that interest right now. Can you do me a favor? Convert that interest also into my loan. Charge interest, everything, whatever, but convert that interest also into my loan. So bank agreed. Bank said, okay, your main loan we are rescheduling, the time we are increasing and the rate also we are reducing, and the interest on that loan for these last 3 years which you have not paid to us, do one thing. This interest also 4 lakh 50, we are converting it into a new loan. 4 lakh 50 interest in 24-25 converted into loan. Paid, no? Can I take the deduction now? Saying that 4 lakh 50 no more exists as an interest. It is converted into loan, meaning it is paid. So I will take the deduction of that 4 lakh 50. I will be given a tight slap. converting the interest, outstanding interest, into a fresh loan is not a payment of that interest. Okay. So in the year in which it is converted, in that year, you are not going to get any deduction for that interest, saying that it is paid. It is paid means actual money should go from your pocket. Is it going? No. It is as a result of rescheduling, it is just getting converted into a loan. Interest getting converted into loan is not the payment of this interest. So the year in which it is converted is not the year in which it is paid. So it's not the year in which you can take that deduction. 43B, it was disallowed. In the year of conversion, it will not be allowed because it is not paid. It is just converted into new loan. Now new loan, how much amount you are having? 450. Don't you think that this 450, which is a loan right now, is nothing but your interest only? Now whenever you will make the repayment of this 4,50,000, no, that time you will say that I have paid the interest. That time, that amount which you have repaid out of this 450 will be allowed as a deduction. Getting my point? Done. Entire part. Read it first, please. Not in the loan, but it is converted into loan. So such conversion in this year will not be treated as payment of that loan. Sorry, payment of that interest. Such converted interest is not allowed as deduction in the year of conversion. However, the interest which got converted into loan, no, now that loan is nothing but this interest only. This interest is nothing but in this loan only. Now whenever this loan will be repaid, interest is paid. It is not loan repayment now. It is interest payment now. So whatever out of this loan you will pay in the future is that is interest payment. To that extent, now you can take the deduction in the year of payment. That is written in red color. Okay. Will you remember? Same concept will be there in one question which we are going to solve. Don't take these things lightly, huh? I'm telling you. Next one. Please read this. Assessee is any person. He is incurring some expense for his business or profession. So for that expense, he is supposed to make the payment. Okay. Now, he is not making the actual payment. Rather, he is giving a bank guarantee for the payment. Is he making actual payment or he is giving bank guarantee for the payment? Tell me. Giving the bank guarantee to the opposite party that if I fail, don't worry, my bank has given you the guarantee, bank will pay, is not the payment of that expense. It is just giving an assurity to the opposite party that see, if I am not able to make the payment to you, no, don't worry, my bank is ready to pay you. Bank has given the guarantee, and that bank guarantee which I will take from the bank, I am giving that bank guarantee to the opposite party for that expense. See how much expense? 10 lakh rupees. That was my business expense. For 10 lakh rupees, I'm not making the payment right now. But for that 10 lakh, I'm taking the bank guarantee from the bank and giving it to you. Have I made the payment of 10 lakh? Is the 10 lakh leaving me? Just because giving the bank guarantee does not mean that payment of 10 lakh is leaving me. Will not be allowed. Meaning, it will not be treated as payment of expense. So just by giving the bank guarantee, because the time was passing on, if the time would have passed, I would not have paid. So the expense would have been disallowed. So I applied some mind. Instead of making the payment, I give the bank guarantee. And now I am claiming that deduction, saying that bank guarantee given, no, it is as good as payment. Bank guarantee is not a payment. When you'll actually pay, that time you claim. Right now, on or before the due date, have you paid? No. Right now, disallowed. Even if you have given the bank guarantee within this on or before the due date, still it will not be allowed. Why? Because bank guarantee, giving the bank guarantee is not the payment of expense. Getting my point? This point. Now, see, sometimes we buy electricity from the government. In Gujarat, no, where I am living right now, there is one government company, MGVCL. This is a government undertaking. Okay. In Tamil Nadu, it is TNPCL or something like that, no? TNPCL. But in our area, no, in Gujarat, Gujarat is divided into 3-4 zones. So we are living in the central part of Gujarat, meaning Madhya Gujarat, Wij Company Limited. Wij means electricity. Madhya Gujarat, Wij Company Limited, meaning Central Gujarat Electricity Company. So in our houses, no, or whatever establishments are there, everywhere here the electricity is supplied by this government company. This is a state government company. And when you go to the western part of Gujarat, no, there is Paschim Gujarat, which company? PGVCL. Getting my point? So this MGVCL for us in Gujarat, for you it is Tamil Nadu State Power Corporation Limited, TNPCL, something like that, no? Okay. So that is a government owned company. Ultimately, it is a government only. Government owned company, state government owned company supplying electricity to you. So you are ultimately buying electricity from the government only, state government. Now to that state government, you are supposed to pay electricity charges. For the electricity which they are supplying you, for that electricity, you are supposed to give them electricity charges. That electricity charges for this year, you have not paid. Outstanding. What? Outstanding. Due. And you are following mercantile system of accounting. Can you take the deduction? Yes. It is my business expense. Hello? And if I'm following mercantile system of accounting, all the incomes taxable on what basis? Due basis. So all the expenses of my business should be allowed on due basis, no? So this is an expense of my business, should be allowed on due basis. Now what the assessing officer says, no, this will not be allowed on due basis. We will disallow under section 43B. Because it is a payment to be made to government. It is a payment to be made to the government. And since you have not paid in this year and not even on or before the due date of filing your ROI, so we will apply 43B and we will disallow it. Assessing officer disallowed. And now there was a dispute. This electricity charges for this year, in my factory, it was 5 crore rupees. For this year, 5 crore rupees electricity charges. Huge factory I am having, 5 crore rupees outstanding. So I claim deduction for 5 crores as my electricity charges, which I am supposed to pay to the government. Okay, no? And I am following mercantile system of accounting. This is my current year's expense due for this year. Still, it will be allowed in this year. This is my logic. Assessing officer says, see, the amount was payable to the state government. Allowed only on payment basis. Same year you paid? No. On or before the due date of filing ROI you paid? No. Will not be allowed in this year. Whenever you pay, that time it will be allowed. 43B, it is disallowed right now. Who is correct according to you? Come on, tell me. Assessee is correct, claiming the deduction for this expense on due basis, or the officer is correct, disallowing because the amount was payable to the government which you could not pay on or before the due date of filing your ROI. Hence it is disallowed. 43B attracted, disallowed. Will be allowed in the year in which it is actually paid. Who is correct? Come on, give me the answer. You can see the same thing given, answer in front of you. Assessee is correct. Disallowing this amount under section 43B is not correct. Why? Under section 43B, which expenses are covered? C, T, B, I, L, R. Okay, no? Tell me. Is it C? No. Is it B? No. Is it I? No. Is it L or R? No. So that officer is saying it is T. Oh, is it T or is it electricity charges? How can you make electricity charges taxes? The charges are not in the nature of taxes. Even though these charges are payable to the state government, that does not mean that it will take the character of tax. If you want to apply 43B on any amount payable to the government, that amount should be payable under any law in the form of taxes, duties, cess, fees, etc. And this is not taxes, duties, cess, fees, etc. payable under law to the government. This is pure business related expense known as electricity charges. Why are you coloring it in the form of taxes? Ayo, this is not a tax. And if it would have been tax, then 43B application is okay. But the expense is not in the nature of taxes, duties, cess. Hello? Payable to the government under any law. This does not qualify as that. Just because it was payable to the state government, you cannot disallow a business expense, genuine business expense. Getting my point? Because this is not tax payable under any law. It should be allowed on the basis of method of accounting. If the assessee is following mercantile basis, it should be allowed in the same year. 43B cannot be attracted. Will you remember this? These are 2 or 3 important points which we had to discuss with 43B. Now your 43B is over. Done. Now the last point which is there. Can you see? 41. Every damn single thing I have covered except point number 1. Point number 2, 41.2. Do you remember in 41.2 balancing charge? SLM depreciation, asset purchased for 100 lakhs. 3 years you claimed the depreciation, 10, 10, 10, 30. 70 was the WDV. You sold it for 68. You sold it for 70. You sold it for 85. You sold it for 102. That time, whatever selling price which is recovered over and above the WDV, excess amount of selling price over and above WDV, to the extent of depreciation allowed, will be treated as your balancing charge. I've already told you. Hello, sir. Recovery of bad debts, recovery of any amount against the sale of scientific research. Scientific research, one asset you acquired, 5 lakh was the cost. Entire 5 lakh was allowed under section 35. Now this asset, without bringing to any other use in the business, from scientific research only it was sold. Possible or not? That time, whatever amount which you are recovering for the transfer of that asset from your business, from scientific research, whenever it is getting transferred, whatever amount you are recovering, that amount up to the cost, 5 lakhs, which was allowed under PGBP head, deemed PGBP income, sold for 3 lakhs. 5 lakh was the cost. Against the 3 lakh you recovered, 5 lakh you claimed under PGBP, 3 lakh show as your PGBP income, deemed PGBP income. 5 lakh was the deduction. You recovered 5 lakh. Show this 5 lakh as PGBP income. Oh, 5 lakh allowed under PGBP. You are recovering 6 lakh 50. 5 lakh. To that extent, whatever amount we have allowed under PGBP, to that extent recovery, deemed PGBP. Any excess capital gains. Do you remember? Bad debts which were allowed. My income reduced. Now that bad debts recover, increase the income, deemed PGBP. Bad debts which were not allowed, income was not reduced. Now recovered, ignore, No need to say that it is a deemed PGBP. Easy or difficult? Sure, no? Last one. This I have to explain. They are saying any benefit of recovery, any benefit or recovery against any expense, loss, trading liability already allowed under PGBP. Meaning that there might be some expense which you must have incurred. There might be some loss happening to you, or there might be a trading liability which you would have incurred. Against all those things, you have already taken a deduction under PGBP. Your expense you have claimed as a deduction. Your loss happening in the course of business you have claimed as a deduction. Your trading liability in your business, your trading liability you have claimed as a deduction. Trading liability means creditor. Bills payable, they are not trading liabilities. You have taken the deduction. Deduction you have taken, no? For expense, for loss, for trading liability. Under the head PGBP, you have taken the deduction, no? So this expense, this loss or this trading liability is already allowed as a deduction out of my PGBP income. So to that extent, I have reduced my PGBP income. Now against this expense, against this loss, against this trading liability, whenever I am receiving any benefit in future, don't you think the amount of income which got reduced by allowing this expense is now recovered again? Show it as redeemed PGBP income. The benefit which you are going to get against this loss, the benefit which you are going to get against this trading liability, show it as income. Because the benefit is out of that amount only which we allowed as a deduction under PGBP, thinking that it is a loss, thinking that it is a liability, thinking that it is an expense. So it should not be recovered. No, the benefit should not happen against this. No, in future, if any recovery out of this happens, in future, any benefit you receive against this, we will consider that as your deemed PGBP income. That's it. Sir, give one or two examples, please, sir. Fire happened in your factory. Fire. There was stock worth 10 lakh rupees lost by fire. Is it a loss incurred in the course of business? So what you will do? The loss you will adjust from your business income to calculate profit. Meaning you will claim the deduction of 10 lakh as your loss. Your income reduced by 10 lakhs. Because 10 lakh loss you claimed as a deduction. It was allowed. But fortunately you took the insurance of the stock. And insurance company gave you 8 lakh rupees. How much? 8 lakh against this loss. So your net loss should be how much? 2 only. You should have claimed 2 only. How much you claimed? So reverse 8. Reverse 8. Treat this 8 as your deemed PGBP. So 10 allowed, 8 deemed PGBP, 2 will remain allowed. And that is your loss. Hello, sir. Your employee, no? One of your employee, he ran away with 5 lakh rupees of cash of the company. Ran away. Profit to the business or loss to the business? Loss. So you'll claim that 5 lakh as a deduction. You will file an FIR in the police. You'll give the photograph, you'll give the address, you'll give the phone number, every detail of that employee you will give to the police station, and you will tell the police that, see police, sir, this employee handling cash in my company ran away with 5 lakh rupees in today's morning. Today morning he ran away. So police will file a complaint, file an FIR, and will start searching him. But till the time he is not meeting, 5 lakh is gone, no, from your business. It is a loss for your business, no. Now who knows that whether you are going to get that money back or not, whether the employee is caught or not? Hello. So right now claim this 5 lakh as a deduction. It is your business loss. Later on, police were very efficient. After 5 years, caught the thief, caught that employee. After 5 years or 2-3 years, employee was caught. And that time, from him, police could recover your 1 lakh. Meaning that now they will call you, police will call you, that 4 or 5 years back you lodged a complaint against this employee, we have caught him. Come to the police station, we are able to recover 1 lakh from him. You will say whatever it is, 5 lakh had gone, out of that at least 1 lakh is coming, let us go and collect that 1 lakh. So how much loss happened to you actually now? 5 lakh was allowed, against that 1 lakh recovered, no? How much loss? 4 only. But how much you claim? 5. So 1 lakh you are supposed to say as deemed PGBP right now. Hitting my point? Everyone, you can say I can make n number of examples. One more example I'll give so that this concept is freezed now. Okay. You purchased some goods from your supplier. Stock in trade you purchase. So you are selling, sales happening is your income. So to sell, you have to buy also, no? Selling, sales is your income. So you are buying to sell, buying the stock to sell. That is your purchase, that is your expense. So from sales, purchase you will reduce as a deduction only, no? Purchases of 5 lakhs. Purchases of 5 lakhs. This year, claimed on mercantile basis. Claimed on mercantile basis. You have not yet made the payment to the supplier. So what entry you would have passed? Purchases account debit to party account, to supplier's account. Yes or no? So now supplier is standing in your books as a trading liability against that credit purchases. Credit purchases you have claimed as a deduction, no? Meaning that against that credit purchases, whatever trading liability was there, that was allowed in the form of purchases, no? 5 lakh purchase you claimed as a deduction. So 5 lakh purchase, against that 5 lakh of creditor trading liabilities appearing in your balance sheet. Hello, sir. Now if you make the payment of 5 lakhs, then claim of 5 lakh was okay. Hello? 5 lakh allowed as a deduction as your purchase expense. Against that, the creditor is 5 lakh. Okay, no? So if you make the payment of 5 lakhs of purchase, meaning that your 5 lakh of purchase was allowed, okay. But that supplier is giving you 10,000 rupees discount for making an early payment. So you made him a payment of 4 lakh 90 and 5 lakh account got settled. 10,000 discount you got. Against that 5 lakhs, which was already allowed, how much you are paying? 490 only, meaning 10,000 benefit you are getting, no? Against this trading liability. Hello, in the form of discount. Out of 5, pay 5. But out of 5, you are paying only 490, meaning 10,000 is your benefit. So this 10,000 you have claimed extra, no, from us. Reverse, dim PGBP. Getting my point? Everyone, section 41, done. Will you remember? All these items we have already covered. This last item which was supposed to be discussed, I have discussed. 4 parts of the chapter are done till deemed PGBP income. Now miscellaneous part is remaining. Which part? Miscellaneous part. So today we have completed the theory which is required to solve the questions. Tomorrow, first thing which we are going to do is start solving the questions. Okay, which we could not start today, but tomorrow, if I am not wrong, the chapter will take its last breath. Let's try tomorrow. Okay. So today the major chunk of the chapter is over. Now this chapter does not contain any, fancy things. The chapter, whatever important things which were supposed to be considered to calculate a PGBP question, no? Entire thing you have done. Now it's just a matter of me solving 1 or 2 questions with you on your calculator, getting answer in 1 minute. Then you will see the difference. You will get that confidence. Very easy. People were like, screaming about PGBP is difficult. PGBP. See, PGBP is not difficult. You make it difficult by thinking that it is difficult. Apply some logic. income I have to take for business. What incomes will come? I have to identify those incomes from my question. You have to ask yourself that whether this kind of income I have seen in PGBP, yes, claim it under, consider that income under PGBP. Now, from the question, expenses will be given. See, which expenses will be allowed no from your business or profession income, majority of them you will identify by applying common sense only. Whether this expense is happening in my business, is my business. For example, if I'm running a hospital, so whatever income I will earn from my patients in the hospital is my PGBP income. Common sense. And to run this hospital, what all expenses are happening are all my business expenses to earn this business income. I'm paying salary to my nursing staff. Isn't it my business related expense? Allowed. I'm paying, for example, I'm paying for the electricity charges of my hospital. Isn't it my business related expense? So if you think a little bit common sense wise, 100% you will be able to identify, okay, this is my business income. Okay, this is my business related expense. Common sense applying. But you have to remember those things which are specifically disallowed. These are the catch points. Under which section, which expense you are claiming, that you are going to understand very easily. But that section which allows you the deduction for an expense on that TDS was supposed to be deducted. And you did not deduct the TDS. And that expense, for that expense you have made the payment to a non-resident. That was your business expense only. Allowable only. But now it will be disallowed. Why? Because the payment for this expense is happening to a non-resident. On that payment I was supposed to deduct TDS. I did not deduct. So will this be allowed or now it will be disallowed? Yes. 40AI says that this type of expense I cannot claim. I have to disallow. You have to remember these things. And the more questions you will solve like this, no, the more confidence you will get. Till the time we are going to our total income chapter, no, I'll make you champions. Don't worry about that. Any type of question will come in front of you, no, you will tell your friends also, give us the question, we are going to solve for you. But for that, you need to know the process properly. Everything should be clear here. What you are doing, why you are doing. What the question is asking, what you are writing. All these things must be very clear. Reading the question properly, understanding the question properly. Once you read, then understand properly what is written. And after understanding, please understand that what your examiner wants you to calculate. What you know, you don't have to write. What is asked, that you have to write. So they are asking you to write a story on mango. You are writing a story on cucumber. Will you get marks? If they are telling, see, I have studied cucumber, so I will be writing a story on cucumber. How will I? Your syllabus has cucumber also, mango also, potato also. Every damn single thing is there in your syllabus. But we are asking you to write a story, write an essay on mango, thinking that you would have studied. But you don't remember, you have not studied, you have studied cucumber. So you will write about cucumber, you will get marks? No. That is the main problem which is happening right now. Understand what the examiner wants from you. Give him only that much. Nothing less, nothing more. Because less you will give, you will not get marks. More you will give, he will not give you extra marks. This is a professional examination, not your BCom exams. So it becomes very important for you to identify the question, learn the things properly, after learning how to apply these concepts. In taxation, no, application of the provisions is most important. Reading everyone will do. Getting my point? So tomorrow you will come to know that how the questions are read, how they are interpreted, how the solutions will be made. Tomorrow you will learn. Okay, so tomorrow beginning only we are going to start with the questions. We are going to solve the remaining questions, and then we are moving to the last part of the chapter. We'll try our best to finish this chapter tomorrow itself. Okay, and if it is not finished tomorrow, a small part will remain that will be covered in the next lecture. But we are going to start with the capital gain very soon. Okay, so see you tomorrow. Till that time, bye bye everyone. Bye.